Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, November 30th, 2014. This is episode 1140. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you all the ingredients to cook fresh, delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 2 meals free by going to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit. And by SmartThings. SmartThings lets you control and monitor your home from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. To get started, visit smartthings.com/twit and you'll save 10% off any home security or solution kit when you use the code TWIT10 at checkout. And by Jack Irwin. Jack Irwin sells men's shoes made from the finest materials at honest prices, and they ship them right to your door. Check out their shoe collections at jackerwin.com/twit. That's jackerwin.com/twit. Well, hey, how are you today? Good to see you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater, digital photography. I'm not sure if our photography guru, Chris Marquardt, is back from Ethiopia. He was doing a photo safari. That's one thing that's great about being a photographer these days. Seems like travel is part of the mix. Man, they get to go everywhere. We'll also talk about smartphones, of course. Tis the season. A lot of people seem to be interested in smartphones. We've kind of come to the end of the line as far as smartphone announcements, at least until the spring. So we now know what we're working with, you know what I mean? We didn't know, and I mean, it's taken a while to get all of the best phones out there, and the reason that this calms down until spring is because that's when the Mobile World Congress hits Barcelona. That's when all the new stuff gets announced. So now we're pretty much can narrow it down to the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. The big phones seem to be a big seller. Galaxy S5 kind of a disappointment for Samsung. They only sold 12 million. They expected to sell many, many more of those. On the other hand, I think the Note 4, which just came out, will be a big seller. That's a great phone. Very nice phone. The Nexus 6, which is the latest Google phone, finally came out and has been shipping. Also a giant phone, almost 6 inches. Almost, but not quite. The HTC One is still a contender. That came out earlier this year, but 6 months old. It's an ancient phone, but still, I think, a very well-made and nice phone. It isn't, in fact, the latest processors or anything, but it's still a nice phone. LG G3, same category, kind of been out for a while, but still looking nice. It's a little weird with the buttons on the back. Some people like that, some people don't. What else am I missing? I'm sure I'm missing a few. Oh, the Moto X, I still like it. Tomorrow, you'll be able to get a Moto X for a good price. Verizon's going to offer it for a penny for those renewing their contracts if you're on Verizon. I hate to buy a phone from the phone companies. I know they subsidize it, but you pay a price. Because I don't think, first of all, I don't think you pay any less for the phone over the 2 years that you have to have it. But I also feel like if Verizon just lard would be the word, lards their phones up with red icons, Verizon stuff that I don't want. And you can't delete, alas. Not to mention the Verizon logo or the AT&T Death Star logo. They all do it. Even T-Mobile puts a bunch of stuff on there. Generally, though, T-Mobile seems to be the least aggressive about branding. So the Moto X, that's a good choice, I think. Verizon's got the Droid Turbo. That's a Moto X with a big battery and a big camera. Some good choices out there. If you're in the market for a phone, this is a good time to, I think, get out there and go shopping for yourself or others. I suppose over the next few weeks we'll start talking about things to get for the geek in your life. But can I recommend, and this would be a good time to go because I think they're still doing their Black Friday stuff, a site called thinkgeek.com. as you might imagine, a good place to shop for your friendly neighborhood geek. Think geek. And they have the weirdest stuff. It's more about the geek lifestyle than actual technology stuff. They don't sell smartphones or tablets, but they sell like geek clothing. Like you can, and I'm telling you, there are plenty of geeks out there who would love to have a Star Trek red shirt or a Star Trek pullover, a lightsaber remote control for your television, a Star Trek phaser. It's $140. The Star Trek phaser. It doesn't do anything. It just sits there. But it looks good. A lot of Star Trek stuff. A lot of I don't know. Do they have Star Wars stuff? Yeah, they do, because they are the ones that came up with the sleeping bag, the Tauntaun sleeping bag. I'm not going to explain that. But if you remember The Empire Strikes Back, you probably don't need any explanation. Or how about a Doctor Who TARDIS throw blanket? Looks like the blue phone booth from the Doctor Who show. Yes, this is all thinkgeek.com. So if you have a geek, the problem buying a gift for a geek is you don't get them technology. Invariably, you're going to get that look, oh, that's lovely. They'll say, oh, just what I always wanted, a Polaroid tablet. He's going to shake his head, at least internally, he or she. So probably, don't go out. Chase is saying in a chair, can you recommend a good modular power supply? You could go out for the geek in your life and buy them a modular power supply, but undoubtedly he'll say, oh, that's great, but I was hoping for 350 watts. You're not going to get it right. I pretty much promise you. Did you see? I'm sure you did if you're on Facebook. You can't miss the viral videos of the kid whose mom is really working to stretch every penny. They're broke. And she gives him a present, a cutting board. And the kid is so sweet. He says, my kids will go, what? But he's so sweet. He says, oh, Mom, a cutting board. I can't wait to cut some food on it. And then she pulls out, and she saved every penny to give him a tablet computer. And boy, is he happy. Is that a sweet? That's a geek who's happy to get something. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number. If you want to call and ask for recommendations, if you got something and you want to know how to use it or how to abuse it, 888-827-5536. That's the number, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, use Skype. You can do that. It was a big Black Friday for online retailers, as well as, of course, I'm sure, brick and mortar stores. But online saw a growth of 20% from last year. It's Black Friday. And what's interesting is that nearly a third of all the sales were on mobile, were on phones or tablets. Wow. That is a big shift. People do you do your shopping on a tablet or a phone? This kind of confirms my contention that for the many people, and people say, why do you talk about smartphones? These are the computers, the PCs of the 2010s, aren't they? These are. This is your primary computer. All the stats show that, especially if you have a big one, the bigger the phone, the more likely you spend more time on it. In fact, somebody did a survey, or actually, I think it wasn't a survey. I think it was one of those automated things where they looked at traffic on the internet and found that people who had iPhone 6 Pluses, the big 5.5-inch phone, spent 60% of their time on the iPhone and only 40% on a computer or tablet. If you have a 5S, it was a much lower number. The smaller the phone, of course, the lower the number, the lower the percentage of time you spend on it. But with a big phone, it's almost like a computer. It's almost like a tablet, isn't it? Now, we haven't seen the end of Black Friday because the poorly named Cyber Monday is tomorrow. The idea of Cyber Monday used to be, this is so antiquated now, that you would wait to do your online purchasing until you came into work and used the fast internet at work. I suppose some of you, you live in rural areas, you can't get fast, but I would guess that in most cases now, the internet at home is faster than the internet at work. And who wants the boss snooping on the stuff you're buying? And bosses, you do have the right to do that. Every court in the land has said that. So I don't know if Cyber Monday makes any sense. You don't wait till Monday, then you can use the fast computer at work. That's the last place you want to do your holiday shopping. I suspect most people have, or if they're going to shop online, have done it already. But hey, good news. It goes on pretty much for the next few weeks. Amazon has its continual deals going on for the next 6 days. They started yesterday. Shopping mania. And we could talk about it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. Did I ever get one? One what? Did I ever get one? I don't know. Well, chances are I did get one, whatever that one is. Let me see if I can find that video of the kid. If you have YouTube, you've seen all of these.
Gracias.
Aw. Such a sweet boy. Mom gave him a cutting board.
Mira, sacaste un papel.
I don't know what language they're speaking, but I think is it Japanese? I don't know. He's very happy. Isn't that he thought it was a tablet because it was the shape.
Oh,
¿Qué hizo? Por papelito que hizo.
He says, I can't wait to cut
sushi on this.
food on it. I don't think it's Japanese.
Para que comas lo asado junto con tu cuchillo. Te queremos mucho, papi y mami.
Y el tenedor puede agarrar el botón.
Oh. Oh, isn't that sweet? Oh, that is the sweetest little boy.
Papi, ¿qué quiere?
And then there's another present. It doesn't quite look like a tablet. He hid his, you think this is fake? Dang you, internet.
Everybody says, why is
Dang you,
everyone
internet.
so
If you
suspicious?
fooled me again. Maybe it's just an ad for a tablet.
Oh, new clogs, so I can dance.
Doesn't look fake. So the kid thought he was getting a tablet and got a cutting board, and he still kissed his mom. Yeah, sounds like Portuguese.
Oh.
What's this? Shoes? You don't fake that.
¿Qué?
Yeah, I think it's Spanish or Portuguese. Maybe they're Brazilian. You don't fake that look. I'm sorry, no kid is that good an actor.
Abrí.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. He cries. You see, that's not fake.
Oh.
No, kids don't cry on a cue. That's not fake. Dad, put your shirt on.
Yeah.
Oh, this must be from last Christmas, right? He's so happy.
Oh, correla.
Oh, it's a Google tablet. That is not fake. That's the Nexus 7. Good choice, Mom and Dad. Oh, he's so happy. He's holding off though until he's sure it's a tablet. His parents are pranksters.
Fool me once.
Oh. Oh, that sweetest boy. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. That's not fake.
You're crying.
I'm
too.
crying.
I know.
That's not fake.
I have pictures from when we gave my mom an iPad and she was like a kid. She was just
Yeah.
so exuberant and excited.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Okay, stop. Good piece of paper.
I can't, there's no way that's fake. You can't fake a kid crying.
Who would
Like
say it's fake? You have
Well, the
heart
internet is
the
full of
Grinch.
fake, and you know it is.
You have a
it
heart
would,
of coal.
It would be a good ad for a tablet. Don't give your
But-
kids a cutting board. Give them a tablet.
That was a good fake out, though. I mean, it's almost cruel, but
It's
at least they were there
cruel.
with the other kid.
But you know what? A sweet boy. He said, "Oh, thank you."
Totally. They raise kids
That's not my
different in other
kids.
countries.
My kids would throw it at me. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right, I made the I made the mistake of showing Heather that video I was talking about with a little kid. It sounds like, I can't tell if it's Spanish or Portuguese. Maybe they're in Brazil, but his parents give him a cutting board because it's wrapped and it looks like it's a tablet. And the kid obviously wants a tablet more than anything. And he opens it. He's excited. It's a tablet. And no, it's a cutting board. But, you know, the kid has such grace. And he says, thank you. And he kisses his mom. Can't wait to use this to cut food, he says. And then he gets another box, which looks like shoes. It's a shoe box. He opens it up, and yeah, it's a shoe box. And he opens up that, and he, like, freezes. He can't believe his eyes. Inside is a Nexus 7, a Google tablet.
He is. He's
and you
stunned.
could and he bursts into tears, and it's so sweet and a little bit cruel, but what a sweet. And I'm sorry I watched it because now I'm a little teary.
I know.
And then of course the cynical internet says, "Oh, that's a fake. They're selling tablets." Well, maybe I don't think you can make a kid cry on cue. If we're an adult, I would believe it. And there are so many. You know, this is a problem. I think we've become cynics because so many of these viral videos are completely fake. There's one making the rounds, you've probably seen it, where a guy tries to steal a woman's purse. Have you seen this one?
No.
And she turns around, kicks him. He falls down, conveniently falls down behind a dumpster, and all you see is her fist coming as she pummels the guy. And it's it looks like security camera footage, and it's circulated everywhere. It's circulated everywhere. But I look at that and I say, in my mind, I go fake. The guy conveniently falls, you know, invisibly to a dump. It looks just like a bad movie where they don't, you know, they're pretending to pummel somebody where you can't see it. And everybody's circulating it. See, and that's good. You feel good. But the internet is full of these fake videos. But that one, I don't think the little kid, you can't make a little kid cry. Well, you could. I suppose the director could be under the table pinching him.
It's not fake.
The cynics, they do it to me every time. 8888 Ask Leo, website techguylabs.com. Heather Humman, hello. Thank you for the birthday. What is this?
Kuganaman.
Kuganaman. You made this yourself?
With a little help from Trader Joe's.
This woman's trying to kill me. Oh, that is so good.
It's a good way to die, man.
The heck with the cronut. I've got a Kuganaman. Thank you, Heather.
You bet.
This will be my last birthday.
What, if we keep eating like this?
Yes.
We've got to stop eating like this.
Hey, I see you've got some wonderful callers already lined up. Who should we start with?
Sure do. Max in Milpitas is wondering about using Wi-Fi in cafes.
That's a great question. Hello, Max. Thank you, Heather. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You're in Silicon Valley.
Good morning, Leo.
Good morning, Max. How are you?
I'm doing great. I understand you just had a birthday. Congratulations.
Thank you. I am 1 year older and none the wiser.
I can tell you you're a very wise man as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Leo, I have a question for you, which is not really related to technical, but related to you just had a birthday. Do you know when the time is to hit that bucket list?
When should one hit the bucket list?
Yes. Do you know that?
When? No, I don't.
Okay. When a bran muffin becomes a more logical choice.
Oh, that happened a long time ago. So you start working on your bucket list when you start eating bran muffins instead of
that's my opinion.
Kuganamans. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And that happened. Lisa makes me make bran muffins every week.
Well, that's my favorite.
You know, you're right. When you start looking at bran muffin, and go, that's when you know it's almost over. You're on the downhill side. What? What can actually? You know, I don't have a bucket list because I'm living my bucket list. I love doing this. It's so much fun, and I can't imagine doing anything else. So
you're a lucky man.
I am a lucky man. What can I do for you, Max?
So, Leo, the question relates to the security on the public Wi-Fi. I have ESET on my laptop, and when I go to Starbucks, for example, the ESET detects that I'm connected to a Wi-Fi, the Starbucks Wi-Fi. They ask me if this is a home or a public.
Yeah.
I say it's a public, and it says now your computer is invisible to everybody else's on that network.
Oh, that's good.
That's what he said. So I'm assuming that since it's invisible, then all the communications and transactions coming out of my laptop connected to the Starbucks Wi-Fi server should be fairly secure. Is that the right assumption, or I'm mistaken here?
Now, you said ESET is saying this, or is it Windows saying this? I think it's
ESET. ESET says as soon as I say the public
You can
Wi-Fi,
see the ESET thing.
Yes.
So that's interesting. You must have some more than an antivirus. It's probably turning on.
I have a suite. I have a 7.
You have the suite, yeah.
Yes, suite 7.
So I'm not sure exactly what it's using. You're right. The public Wi-Fi is potentially risky because when you're on a Wi-Fi network, or frankly, when you're on any network, if you're at a hotel and you plug in the Ethernet, it's the same problem. You're now sharing an internet with other people. Wi-Fi is particularly problematic because it's floating through the air and it's, you're broadcasting. So anything that you do that is not encrypted is visible. Now, ESET is probably turning on a firewall that makes it hard for a bad guy to get into your computer. But unless they have a VPN running, a virtual private network, and I suspect they don't, then it's a little misleading for them to say you're protected. Anything you do that goes through the internet unencrypted, unscrambled, is visible to anybody on that network, and in fact, any server along the way as well. Internet traffic is essentially public traffic. Now, the good news is when you're buying something, when you're doing your banking, almost all sites use encryption, and you could tell because it'll say HTTPS for secure.
Right.
When you see that, or when you different browsers have different ways of indicating it. It used to be a lock and key, but now that's changed. But when you know you're on a secure site like that for banking, for email in some cases, Gmail, for instance, does this. On Facebook, they do HTTPS. On any commerce site should do HTTPS. If it's secure, then you don't have to worry whether you're using ESET or not. That is encrypted between you and the other end, all the way from you to Amazon, or you to your bank, or you to your email provider. So that's good. And that is safe. It's the stuff that's not encrypted that is visible to anybody. And this was a bigger problem. There's been a move to put HTTPS everywhere, to make everything secure. Google's pushing this. A lot of companies are pushing this. The Electronic Frontier Foundation is pushing this. That will eliminate any concern about being on any network because your data is protected. But until that time, anything that's not secure is visible, not only to people on the Wi-Fi or at the hotel on the same network, but also to any server along the way, and anybody who could break into any of those servers or tap into any of those servers. People like the, federal government, the National Security Agency, they tap in. So that means everything you do that isn't encrypted is visible. You can add encryption. You can use software like a virtual private network, but at some point, what you're doing has to emerge on the public internet for you to communicate. So I think if you're on an open access point, the best thing to do is use only secure sites, unless you don't care if somebody sees you surfing somewhere else. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And I won't get into a fairly large issue about the security itself of SSL. That's the secure socket layer that HTTPS uses. You guys listen to Security Now, so you know what I'm talking about. He does. You just forced to listen to it. All right. Scott and Kelly are here from Colorado. Where in Colorado?
Colorado Springs.
Awesome. You work for the Strategic Air Command?
It's actually NORAD in U.S.
NORAD. Is that who you work for?
I do.
You work in the mountain?
Part of the time.
How cool.
We were just in there last week.
No kidding. Do you do? You work there too?
No, I work for the U.S. Olympic Committee.
Oh, how fun is that? That's right. They're in Colorado Springs too, aren't they? USOC, NORAD. Wow, we've got the acronyms here. Do you work for the Air Force, or do you work?
I work for
you're a contractor.
A contractor, work in IT.
So you do security for them?
I do.
Well, I'm glad you're listening to Security Now, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we're telling you anything you don't already know.
Well, it was funny. 2 weeks ago, when Steve was talking about the secure channel vulnerability.
Yeah.
I knew about it before.
The S channel. Yeah.
Before it made it to work, I sent an email saying, "Hey, we got to look into this." And then a day later came all the formal notifications.
That makes you look good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad we can help. Yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
The IIS vulnerability in S channel. That's an example where you assume I'm on a secure connection. I should be secure, but no. In fact, Microsoft had to rush to patch it, and then the patch was bad, and they had to patch it again. But then there's all sorts of issues with older versions of SSL3 and stuff. So, yeah. But I don't want to get into that on the radio show.
Not this one.
If you're on SSL, you're probably okay. Unless nobody's going after you with a man in the middle attack out of a Starbucks. I think you're probably all right. There's no such thing as perfect security, as you well know. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think the guy who protects the security of the nukes is a pretty serious. That's a pretty serious job. Yeah. What did you think of that story that the launch code was 000000?
I do remember that. Yeah.
I'm sure it's changed now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's changed.
You know what? That's just as hard to guess as anything else. It's not. I mean, I'm in the mountain. I'm trying to launch a nuke. I'm not going to guess 000000. I'd be get one of those James Bond boxes and brute forcing it. And I would. Of course, hackers always do that. They try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Well, it's nice to meet you both. Thanks for coming. Are you on vacation? Wonderful. It's a little snowy, I bet, right now. My son's in Boulder.
It was warmer in Colorado on Thanksgiving.
I'm sorry about that. That can't happen.
But 2 weeks ago we had,
50-degree
weather.
Yeah, it was 12 degrees in Boulder.
It was a high of 1.
Yeah, and the snow and it's weird. The weather, you can have warmer. That happens all the time. Warmer weather there than here in the middle of winter.
Yeah, so we figured we'd just drive up for the morning.
You drove here?
Well, from San Francisco.
Oh,
Flew in,
okay.
spent a couple days,
Lovely.
Went to a football
You have did you go to the Niners game?
No, we went to the Cal game.
Thank God. No one should have been at that Niners game. Actually, and by the fourth quarter, no one was there, as Richard Sherman noted.
I didn't realize how far south they moved the stadium.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a long bus ride. In fact, the bus now leaves for a 1 o'clock game at 9 a.m. 1:30 game. And I only took the bus once. Lisa is a season ticket holder, so she's kind of moaning and groaning about the... So this time we drove down because it was Thanksgiving Day, and we stayed in a hotel down there. All right, here we go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We were talking about the safety of using open access spots, hotel internet, just in general on the internet. It's really important that you understand that most of what you do on the internet is visible to somebody, unless you use encryption. If we wanted to make a really private internet, it would be possible. I once interviewed Vint Cerf. Actually, it was just a few months ago. They call him the father of the internet. He created the protocol that the internet uses. The protocol is the kind of agreed upon way to communicate on the internet, the language of the internet. And I asked him, is there anything you would do differently today? Because it works really well. He said, the only thing I'd do differently, I would add an encryption layer. I would support encryption. Encryption is scrambling stuff so that only you and its intended recipient can read it. It's encoding, right? In fact, there's a new movie out about Alan Turing that you should absolutely watch. He's the guy who cracked the German encoding device, the Enigma machine, the uncrackable encryption device at Bletchley Park in the UK. Brilliant guy. And the new movie is supposedly wonderful. I haven't seen it yet. It's called, what is it called? I've forgotten. I'll find out and I'll tell you. In any event, encryption's been around, frankly, since the days of Julius Caesar. He would use a cipher. In fact, probably one as a kid you played with, the idea of changing each letter of the alphabet, replacing it with, shifting it over by 5 places or 10 places, replacing one letter with a letter 5 places over. And then, of course, in order for that to work, that's called, I shouldn't get into the weeds here, but it's called symmetric encryption. Both parties have to know what technique is used. So they send 2 messengers, one with the encrypted message and the other with the key. And you'd have to capture both to decrypt the message. We now have a form of cryptography that's so much better than that because it's called asymmetric, you don't have to send the key. You just send the message. Each side has two keys, one that can be given out publicly, the key that's used to scramble, and one that's kept to yourself, guarded, the key used to descramble, or the private key. And this is such a great idea because this way you don't have to arrange ahead of time to send somebody a message. You merely need their public key. And then they need your public key. They can respond, and you are the only person who can decrypt it. Very good technology. It's widely used. It's considered still to be strong even against the best government computers. It would take many, many years to be broken. So this kind of technology, this public key crypto, this is used in conversations all over the internet. And were it to be used for everything, for email, for all transactions, we'd have a private internet, but it isn't used widely. I think there's a move towards making it more common. But currently it's not used widely. If you're at an open access spot, you have a decision to make. How much, if there were a bad guy, and by the way, the chances of that are small, but sometimes there are people, I know them, who will go to a Starbucks and they will sit there and they'll watch the traffic going back and forth through the air. They can capture it. They can look at it. And if it's not scrambled, if it's not encoded, they'll see it. Now, if you're just, looking at Dilbert cartoons, who cares? Oh, you can see the cartoon you're looking at. But if you are, well, I'll give you some important scenarios. If you're logging into your email, you don't want your email password and login to float through the air unencrypted, do you? Because if this is the worst case scenario, bad guy gets it. He says, great, I have Leo's password. He leaves. He can go home and continue to receive your email forever till you change your password. How often do you change your email password? Not very often, I'm guessing. So that's the worst case scenario. Fortunately, most email providers, and you should check if you're not using the big guys like Google, Microsoft, or Yahoo, most email providers, those big guys, encrypt, but smaller ones, your internet service provider, for instance, may not. So you should check, and you can even do it when you're using the webmail interface. At Starbucks, you can tell if it's HTTPS. It should be the whole time, but certainly when you're logging in. If it's only when you're logging in and the rest of the time it's not, that means the email is visible, even if the password isn't. So it's really important when you're on an open Wi-Fi access spot to kind of think about, what am I giving away and what am I keeping? And if it's just Dilbert cartoons, and who cares? But if it's your banking password, your Amazon credit card numbers, if it's your email address and password, that you want to protect. So make sure when you're on an open access spot, that part is encrypted. So that's the long answer to our previous caller. And by the way, having an antivirus protects you not a whit. That's a whole different kind of thing. This is a whole different matter. And I think we're moving rapidly, I'm pleased to say, towards the time when most internet traffic is encrypted and is fairly secure. But until then, I would assume, email is a good example. You can log in to Google Mail, have an encrypted session where you give it your password, have an encrypted session where you go back and forth, you create mail and read mail. But at the point that Google Mail has to send your email to other mail servers, it isn't encrypted anymore. In most cases, when you're sending Gmail to Gmail, it might be, but when you're sending it to Gmail to Comcast Mail, because they haven't agreed upon a key yet, they haven't exchanged their public keys yet. You can encrypt it yourself, but then you have to arrange with the person receiving it to accept encrypted email. That's what PGP and SMIME and other solutions do. It's going to get there. I think Google's starting to talk about putting encryption into Gmail. That would be great. And guess who doesn't like that? Federal law enforcement is furious about it. In fact, they have now started an offensive where they go to places like Google and say, don't you dare. They go to the hacker conventions. Don't you dare, because then we won't be able to read the bad guy's email. We want to be able to. Encryption's very bad news for law enforcement, and they've been fighting against it all along. And I guess we as a nation have to decide which is more important, our privacy or the ability to track everybody and let's hope sift out the bad guys. 8888 Ask Leo. Robert's in Garden Grove, California. Thank you, Robert, for holding on. What can I do for you today?
I would like you to recommend a simple, easy to use for a senior iPad or a tablet.
I think an iPad is a good choice. The iPad's expensive. That's the Apple product.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts at $500. Do you have internet access, Robert, in your home?
No.
So you're going to have to. None of these devices are very useful unless you have access to the internet. So you have.
Right?
Yeah, because mostly what you use these for is surfing the internet and email. You can't download new software if you don't have access to the internet. I guess you could go to the library or a coffee shop and do it. But,
yeah.
You can buy tablets that have built-in cellular data. They call them LTE or 4G tablets. And the iPad, it's a little more expensive, for $129 more over and above the base price.
Yeah.
You can get an iPad that will let you to connect to AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, or Sprint, and then use their. Now, so you're in Garden Grove, I'm sure. Do you have a cell phone?
Yes, I do.
And it works pretty well with the carrier you're using?
Yes, Verizon.
Yeah. So you might want to get a Verizon tablet. You can get them from Verizon, or you can get them from the Apple Store. You can even get them online, but just make sure you get one that's Verizon compatible. You then pay an additional fee to Verizon, $25, $30 a month.
Yeah.
But now you have access to the internet anywhere you go. I think for a first-time tablet user, the cream of the crop is still the iPad, and that's still the one I'd recommend. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, da, da, da. You know, I would like lunch, but I don't know. Maybe a soup. By the way, the Alan Turing movie is called The Imitation Game, and I apologize for not knowing that. Yeah, it's not a good name. I would like, God, none of this is good for an upset stomach. Thai chicken curry, carrot ginger soup, beef cactus chili, or clam chowder.
Clam chowder.
I wish they had a little chicken noodle soup, a little matzo ball soup, but no.
You could probably get that somewhere else.
Chicken noodle soup. Like simple. It's just chicken broth. It's just chicken stock. How about some?
What's digestible?
How about some Campbell's chicken noodle soup and a ginger ale?
That's what your mommy would give you if you were sick.
I get matzo balls.
You get matzo balls. Mama makes matzo balls. God, none of those sound very appealing.
It's good.
Good. I grew up on Campbell's tomato and grilled cheese sandwiches. What could I eat that would be easy on the tummy?
Someone else has to have chicken soup, right?
Is the food bar open on Sundays? Probably not.
No, I think they are actually. But I don't know what they would do. Unless you got like a food.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold off. Thank you. Randy, Tustin, California, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Randy.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I am well. By the way, the Alan Turing movie is just coming out. Benedict Cumberbatch plays Alan Turing. We love him. And it's called The Imitation Game. And I hear very good things about it. If you're interested in the early days of code breaking, that would be a great movie. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Randy.
Well, thanks for working on Thanksgiving weekend, Leo, because I got to get my wife a new laptop.
Awesome.
Okay. She's Chinese, so she's bilingual.
Uh-huh.
So the question is how can, or what can I do so that she can type in both Chinese and English using her keyboard?
You know, of course, Windows has internationalizations, and you can download Chinese keyboards and so forth. It depends on which language she is going to use most of the time, because you can also buy a Chinese Windows computer that it has Chinese keys and has Chinese language. Then you switch that to an English language keyboard for the times you want to use that. So the question is, which keycaps?
Well, she wants to use, with the regular English keyboard.
All right. So then it's no big deal at all. And Windows and all operating systems allow you to go in and change the international keyboard layout. It's just that the keycaps, of course, won't change. They'll still be, you know, QWERTY, but they'll mean different things as she types. And I think a lot of international users just learn how to do that. So you're going to go into the control panel, and you're going to and you'll see that there are, I can't remember what it's called. Are you Windows 8? Yeah, you're going to be buying a new one, so it'll be Windows 8.
I'm looking for a new one, so it will be.
Windows 8 International Keyboard. I'm going to search for. You know what you could do? Is it a desktop or a laptop?
Well, I want to buy her a new laptop. She has an Asus right now.
One thing you could do is buy a Chinese USB keyboard, and then she could switch back and forth. That would be another way to do it, which would be kind of cool. So you go to the control panel, and on Windows 8, you're going to go to the clock, language, and region control panel section. That's why it's confusing. They've got to move stuff around. And then you're going to change the input method, and you can change it currently, or as you buy it, it'd probably be English language, but you can change that to Chinese or international, and you'll be able to type with a Chinese keyboard. It just won't look like a Chinese keyboard. It might be a good idea. You know, and they'll put an on-screen keyboard if you want as well, which might be, again, it depends on, you know, how much of this she wants to be in Chinese. If it's just occasional use, that probably is okay.
And what if it, and so she would have to change it back then if when she wanted to go back to English.
And all versions of Windows will do this. But you can buy internationalized versions. So you can buy the Chinese version of Windows, for instance, or the Spanish version of Windows. And then it defaults to Chinese, and it would the laptop would have a Chinese keyboard, would have Chinese characters on the keyboard.
Yeah, which is not what she has right now. She's got
she's used to it. Yeah. You can go to worldlanguage.com. They make Chinese language keyboards. Worldlanguage.com. So a really cool, thoughtful gift would be to give her that laptop, but also give her a USB keyboard that is the Chinese characters on it. And if she wants to switch to Chinese, she just plugs in that keyboard.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, I think that would be a very thoughtful addition. And now, again, this will be the English language version of Windows, so all the menus will remain in English.
Correct.
Everything will remain in English. If you want it to be in Chinese, you have to buy the Chinese version of Windows.
Okay, no, I'll just stick with the U.S.
Yeah, she's used to that.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, so but I think a nice thing to do would be get her a Chinese keyboard. I think that'd be a even extra thoughtful thing, and she can use that with any computer going forward.
That would be good.
Yeah.
And what do you think would be a good, you know, moderately priced laptop? Like I said, she has an Asus right now.
Asus is very good.
15-inch where she could plug in a mouse.
I'd stick with Asus. You know, it's ironically, the three I would recommend are all Chinese companies. Asus, they're I shouldn't say Chinese because that's controversial. Taiwanese companies. Lenovo is Chinese. Asus is Taiwanese. And Acer is Taiwanese. And that's another good one, ACER. My Windows laptop, the one I love, my Windows 8 laptop, is the Acer S7. If she's looking for thin and light, it's a fantastic laptop. Yeah. But I think Asus is also very good. And Lenovo, you know, if I had to pick one, I'd say Lenovo. That's owned by, partly owned by the Chinese government, I think. Another good thing to look at, perhaps, somebody in the chat room is reminding me, it's a little more expensive, but Microsoft makes the Surface Pro 3, which is its detachable, you know, tablet, and the keyboard clicks into it. And I bet you could get a Surface Pro 3 with both English language and a Chinese language keyboard that would snap in. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. So those are a little more expensive. Those are over $1,000, but people love the Surface Pro 3. Beautiful screen. It's a tablet, so it's very portable. I would say that's another one to consider, but you're gonna have to look at the prices. Lenovo, Acer, Asus, still very good, and then if you want to get the Microsoft product, the Surface Pro 3, I would take a look at. We always recommend Dell as well. I'll throw it into the mix. That's 5 total. I think for laptops, you can't do better than Lenovo, frankly. I'm actually very happy with my Asus as well. What a nice gift. That's very thoughtful, Randy. I appreciate the call. And don't forget worldlanguage.com. That's a store where they sell all sorts of international stuff, including keyboards in every language under the sun. Worldlanguage.com. And thanks. A tip of the hat to the chat room for mentioning that. Paul's in San Diego. Hi, Paul. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. You need a new laptop when your wife says yours is too heavy, get a lighter one.
You got spousal permission. I think you should go for it now.
Well, I got direction, not permission.
Instructions. That's even better. So,
yeah.
I mentioned before, last call, the Acer S7, very thin, very light. It is the laptop I use, so I can highly recommend it. Not cheap. We're talking about $1,300. But I'm of the opinion that you get what you pay for when it comes to laptops, and it's worth getting a more expensive one. It'll last longer. You'll have fewer problems with it. But if you're on a budget, actually, I think there's some Black Friday deals even on the Surface Pro right now.
Yeah, I was thinking of a touch-sensitive one. I was looking at the Yoga 2 from Lenovo.
Love it. Love it. If you want touch, that's a great way to go.
Yeah, they have a great deal. With your suggestion, your approval.
I approve this message. I approve this laptop. Yeah, we've played with it. We've reviewed it. The Yoga is called the Yoga because it's bendy. You can flip the screen all the way around and make it look like a tablet. It is a really nice, and I think Lenovo. I mentioned Lenovo makes excellent hardware, and the Yoga is a great convertible. Highly recommended. And I think it is important. I think if you're buying Windows 8, or I guess it's 8.1 now. If you're buying Windows 8.1, it is a really good idea to get a touch screen. So highly recommended. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt back from Ethiopia will join us at 12:30. Hey, you know, I want to talk a little bit about one of our sponsors here. You like to cook. This is kind of what you did, Heather, which is you get a recipe, and then you get the ingredients, and Blue Apron takes one of the big steps for people who are hardworking folks, takes one of the steps out, which is getting the ingredients. They mail you, they ship you in a refrigerated box all the ingredients you need for a particular recipe. They include the recipe card, which is wonderful. You learn how to make something. I made the other day congee with pork. I'd never made it before. It was phenomenal. And they give you everything you need for exactly two servings, which is perfect. Fresh ingredients, really great recipes. It's a great way to improve your cooking skills without having to spend a lot of time meal planning and shopping. So they create the recipe. It's about $9.99 a person per meal. They send you the refrigerated box with exactly the right proportions. There's no leftovers. You know, you don't get a whole bunch of parsley. You get just the right amount of parsley. By the way, they're always really fresh because they come from local farms. So they're always choosing stuff that is as fresh as can be. Meals are about 500 to 700 calories a serving. They don't taste like they're light, but they're actually fairly light. And they're delicious. Cooking time, about half an hour. Shipping is always free, and you will never get the same meal twice. You will always, but you get to keep the recipe card, which is nice, because you can make that meal again. You've learned how to make the meal. Let's take a look at what's on the menu this week. Flat iron steaks. They have a guest chef series. The congee pork was from a winner of the Iron Chef competition. She's a professional chef, so that's kind of cool. This one is from Franny's Restaurant in Brooklyn. Jerry Adler. Flat iron steaks with beet frika salad and gorgonzola. Oh, man! Now, you can choose what recipes you get delivered, too, which is really nice. I don't know what frika is. It's an ancient Middle Eastern dish. See, this is like, it's like having a chef in your kitchen educating you on stuff. And then you get all the ingredients, just like this. All the ingredients. You get the recipe card, which is fabulous, and I'm saving those. These are uncoated stock, and they've got lots of illustrations, so they're really great. You can get 2 meals free right now. Like braised Moroccan-style salmon and greens, or chicken and chestnut pasta, cabbage and charred fried rice. This is gourmet stuff. You'll be cooking gourmet meals, and you'll be blown away by the quality and freshness. And you know what? If you're trying to impress a gal, guys, Bring her home and say, I cooked this for you from scratch. She will love you. You don't have to tell her you got it from Blue Apron. Blue Apron, fast, fresh, super affordable. You will be cooking like a gourmet chef with your very first meal. See what's on the menu this week. Get your first 2 meals free. Go to blueapron.com/twit. blueapron.com/twit to get 2 meals free next week. Love the Blue Apron. Why is my phone talking? I must have said okay Google or something.
Maybe it sounded
My
like you were
phone
in
is-
trouble again.
My phone, yeah. It happened at the Niners game. I sent Lisa urgent text.
I'm getting beat up in the
It
men's
said, help
bathroom.
me. And then it sent pictures from the phone and audio from the phone. She said, oh, you're in trouble again? I said, ah.
Oh, you're the little boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, sometime I'm going to need help. And she's going to say, oh,
She's
you
gonna
did
be
it again.
Laughing.
It's a feature on the Galaxy Note 4. If you tap the power, if you press the power switch 3 times, you can turn. Yeah, it's by default, it's off. But I turn it on, and you say who's the person you want notified if you're in trouble, and and I thought, oh, this is cool, and so I put Lisa. So she keeps getting these texts from me saying, help me, I'm in trouble. It's a little easy to trigger. Well, hey, how are you today, Leo Laporte, the tech guy? Time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, smartphones, home theater, anything with a chip in it. Our digital photographer, Chris Marquardt, he's back from Ethiopia. He'll join us at 1:30 with pictures from Ethiopia. Just pretend you're enjoying them. I know. Your friends come back from a trip and they have, oh, you want to see my pictures, my movie? What do you do nowadays? I mean, it used to be you'd have them in an envelope and you'd take them out and flip through them, right? Or if you were really annoying, you'd set up a projector and you'd show the slides, or worse, the Super 8 movies, and you'd force people to sit there and watch over and over, on and on. I remember doing that. But nowadays, what do? You hand them your phone? What do you do when you come back from when you came back from Africa? What did you do?
It seems like you saw them, as I was going along. When I got
See, that's
Wi-Fi,
better.
I uploaded a shot to Facebook,
Yeah.
and everybody went, oh, look where Heather is.
Yeah, I think that's better. You just share them as you go on Facebook or Flickr or Twitter or whatever social media you use. That was better. Then we didn't have to look at some endless slideshow of your trip to Africa. Did you feel ripped off somehow doing it that way? Like you didn't get to gloat? You didn't get to say, see, I went to Africa?
Oh, God, no.
No.
I think it's more fun when it's immediate. When
I
they're
agree.
like, she is halfway across the planet.
I agree.
right
I
now,
love that.
out on a plane.
Now, I wish Facebook would be a little more amenable to that. You know, Facebook changes its news algorithm all the time for that news feed. And unfortunately, you just don't see everything that your friends post. So I didn't see all of your pictures. I have to go to your page if I want to see all your pictures. Facebook has decided that it wants you to get your news from Facebook. In fact, some of the brands that use Facebook are really miffed. You know, if you like Pepsi on Facebook, then you'll start getting messages from Pepsi, offers and stuff in your news feed because you've in effect said, I'm a friend. They're my friends and I want to see their stuff. Facebook has decided, that's free advertising. So they've told brands, we're no longer going to put those kind of brand messages in people's news streams. I can't disagree with that. I mean, that if I were a brand, well, I guess I am a brand. People follow our podcast network on Facebook, and we do put stuff in their stream. But, I understand. That's fine. You can always go to there. But I do feel like everybody in my closest group of friends, I should see all their stuff. There is a way to make sure you see more of their stuff. If you're a Facebook user, it's a good idea to do this. And it helps get a little bit better. I still think I'm missing stuff. But you see somebody's feed and you hover your mouse over their name, and you have to do this on the desktop, I think. And then go down. You'll see that they are, you'll see information about them, among which you'll see that what group they're in. And if you put them in your close friends group, and do that with your family too, you'll see more of their stuff. Put that in acquaintances, you'll see less of their stuff. You can even add people to a list, so you don't see their stuff unless you click that list. That's very useful. For instance, I've made a list of people who live in Petaluma. Unless I click this Petaluma list, I won't see all the Petaluma people. Or I'll see it, but it will be mixed in with other stuff. Facebook will make for you a close friends list in which you'll see the people that you have indicated are close friends. You'll see their stuff. I still don't feel like you're seeing everything. Like I don't think I saw all of Heather's posts from Africa, but you could always go to your page, your friend's page, and see everything in order because it's on their page. It does help a lot, I think, if you go into Facebook. Probably the easiest way to do this would be go to your page, click your name on your front page of Facebook, and then you'll see right under your picture there's a friends item. Go through those friends and assign each of them to a category. Close friends, acquaintances. That will help you kind of cultivate the right news feed for you. Problem is, Facebook's changing it all the time. The stuff I get, I don't know why I'm getting it. Well, it helps a little bit. Helps a little bit. 8888 Ask Leo. And I agree with you. I think that that's the best way to share your pictures, to share them as you go, if you can. You can't always. I mean, sometimes you're not in an area with internet. Joe is next. Miami, Florida. Hi, Joe. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. We're speaking on a rotary phone through copper wire, by the way.
It is the best quality of the day.
Thank you.
Isn't that funny?
That's why I use the phone.
Yeah, sounds great. There's no hiss. There's no buzz.
Right. Well, my question, I'd like to know, after downloading a high-definition audio track, how do you burn it to play on a CD? I have an SACD player and also a DVD-A player. Or can you play at least in a regular player? I don't have an HD MP3 player such as a Pono.
Do you have an SACD burner?
No, I don't have a burner. I have a player.
Yeah. So SACD and DVD audio were two formats created for precisely that reason, to give you higher quality than CD quality audio. In most cases, it was surround sound and other features, but it could have been higher bit rate. But unfortunately, unless you can make that CD, the fact that you could play it back doesn't help you. So here's what we're talking about. And we're seeing more and more of these tracks, iTracks, HDTracks.com, Bowers & Wilkins B&W has the Society of Audio. All of these are selling master quality recordings, not the CD quality, but higher quality than CD quality. The problem is, if you want to make a CD that can be played back on any CD player, it has to conform to something called the Red Book standard. That is the defined standard so that it can be played back. And that Red Book standard, among other things, says this audio will be recorded at 44.1 kilohertz sample rate of 16 bits each. That's the standard. So that means it's going to be CD resolution, not higher than that. If you could somehow burn an SACD or a DVD audio disc, you could get it higher. Here's one way you can do it. You could burn a data disc, not an audio disc. See, the Red Book refers to an audio disc that you could play in your car, you could play in your stereo, you could play anywhere CDs are played, audio CDs are played. But you can also burn a data disc on a computer that contains the original files just as they are on your hard drive. The problem is, in order to play those back, you'd need hardware that can understand high-res files, that can understand FLAC files. Some can. It's not unusual. What I do, I have a receiver. Onkyo and others make receivers that can take high-res files. So my Onkyo receiver has digital-to-audio converters, or DACs, from Burr Brown. They're made by Texas Instruments. They can handle higher resolution, not just 44:116, but all the way up to 192:24. So I put those high-quality files on a USB key. There's a USB port on my receiver. Put it in there, switch my receiver to the USB port. It then shows me a directory of music, and I can play it back, even when they're in FLAC in high-res. So that's what you need, is a player that can understand it.
If I don't have the Pono player or something similar to that, I appreciate what you said so far. If I download the high-definition tracks, let's say to the computer, but my computer doesn't have particularly good,
Your
sound
computer won't play. Most computers will not play back high-res music.
So, all right. So if I download the high-definition tracks, do I need is the easiest, best way to get one of the players that just will accept it and then listen
That's
through
one
headphones?
way. That's one way. Or plug that player, as I've done with the Pono, into the analog inputs of your stereo. Yes. And that works fine. Yeah, because the key element in all of this is the DAC, the digital to analog converter. You have to somehow get those bits, those high-res bits, into an analog form that can be played back. Headphones are analog, speakers are analog. They're not digital. So some hardware is needed to translate it into something that the speakers and the headphones can understand. That's the DAC. There are DACs and there are DACs. Everything has a DAC that plays back digital music, but not all DACs are high quality. If you could find one that'll play back high-quality music, then you can use it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. They say Windows 10 will have the capability. But that's not sufficient because you need also a DAC. You need hardware. You need hardware and software. The software has to be able to understand FLAC, FLAC, which is the uncompressed thing.
Well, no, you were very helpful there. If I just get one of the players and I can plug it into the input jacks, that would be perfect.
Yeah, and there are Sony's making a Walkman that will play back high-def files. What I would do before you buy is investigate who makes the DAC, and then you could search audiophile sites to see, is that a good DAC? The Pono specifically has a good DAC, and the other part of this is the headphone amp. And it has a good headphone amp, too. So they've chosen, one of the reasons it's so big and weird is they've chosen these components specifically, not only the ability to play them back, but to play them back at high quality.
All right. May I ask you one other question?
Sure.
This is probably not great for the radio because it's very obscure.
Well, we're on the podcast now, which is good.
All right. All right, that's fine. I still use WordPerfect for DOS. And I also use iOmega drives.
Oh, my.
Yeah. I download, I've been backing up 30 years, all sorts of papers through WordPerfect for DOS on the zip drive.
Yeah.
It works perfectly.
Yeah.
It works through Mac and Windows. It's amazing. It knows
How do you connect the zip drive? Is it USB?
Or parallel port.
Yeah, so you have a parallel to USB converter.
Yeah, but no, one of the computers still has a parallel port in the back. Yeah. So, and one of them has a USB.
So you can kind of see that this is sunsetting technology.
Yes, that's my problem. So what I do is everything works perfectly. It has the ability, which is very hard on the newer software programs, it will accept it'll know exactly what to back up. It knows where the Mac was backed up, whether the Windows was backed up. Yeah. It will remove an earlier version. That's a problem people have now is perfection. But it only goes to Windows XP, and it doesn't work on the Mac side. Some of it doesn't work on Mac.
So you've obviously run up against this truism that progress isn't always improvement.
Oh, absolutely.
So, decisions have to be made about what features to keep, what to change. And often the new stuff isn't better, it's worse.
Right.
And that's why people like Steve Gidson still use old hardware and software, and you're still using zip. I would get off the zip format as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And
I use the zip because the software program with the zip, when I download things, it will say, I wrote that letter in 1999 or 2003. It keeps the original date in the file directory.
It would normally anyway. That's in the metadata of the file, unless copying it somehow updates it to the copy date.
It does.
Oh.
Almost all the new software programs.
Yeah, so there are copy programs that won't, and you need to look for some of those. Xcopy, I think, wouldn't.
Xcopy, right.
Yeah, look for other copy. There are third-party copy programs that address this specifically.
Great.
They say don't change the creation date, for instance.
Perfect. Well, Leo, I very much appreciate your help. And I'm looking forward to getting one of the Pono players or something similar.
I think you'll like it, yeah. Thanks, Joe. And see,
Bye-bye.
Here's an example. This phone sounds great.
You know what I did, Leo? 3 years ago, I had it restored.
It sounds awesome. Yeah, because the carbon microphones in those old Western Electric phones can really get grungy, and this sounds really clear.
Right. Well, thank you. Good to speak with you, Leo.
Take care, Joe.
All right.
Isn't that funny? That's what goes bad is the carbon mics in there. They get moist. We used to, in the old days, say bang your phone on the desk because that would break up the carbon in there.
So that's where that came from.
Banging your phone on the desk? Yeah.
I don't know. I love to bang things that don't work, you know.
Works all the time. We had a sofa out here. The speakers weren't working. Zach came by and kicked it, and it started working again.
Oh, my gosh, that happened to me yesterday. My foot bumped something over here, and you sounded better.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, having some fun talking high-def music with Joe and so forth. Now, I do believe people send me emails all the time saying, oh, you know, it's a hype. It's in more of that golden ears nonsense. We all know somebody says, oh, you know, nothing sounds better than my old vinyl. Now the new golden ears is saying nothing sounds better than those original studio masters at the higher definition record rate. And a lot of people say, and I think they're probably not wrong, you can't hear the difference, really. It's all in your head. I think it's also possible that there is, we know there's more information there because that's what's happening. More information is being recorded. The question is whether your ears can hear it, and certainly as you get older, they hear less and less. I think there's an argument to be made that without getting too spooky or airy-fairy, that there's more to those higher frequencies than just can I hear them. You can feel them. There's some emotional content seems to be communicated there. And I think that if you feel like it sounds better, then go with it. The good news is it's not hugely expensive to buy these. They're a little bit more small, few dollar more premium on these high-res recordings. You're getting the best possible quality. I like that. A lot of times it's also less audio compressed. You know, one of the things that happened to music when in the transistor radio era is that in order to sound loud on the radio stations, pop music was highly compressed. The quietest parts were brought up, the loudest parts were brought down, so that it was all kind of in the middle range. It's hard to describe, but it sounds punchy. It sounds louder than it is. And the theory was, especially when it was when AM radio was very competitive, when was that, the 60s? It was Boss Radio. Hey, on KHJ in beautiful downtown, and you were playing the hits, Satisfaction. You know, I can't get no. They would compress it as much as they could. Even more, they'd compress it in the studio, and then the radio station would compress it even further so that it would punch through. And as you're tuning down the dial, your 18-year-old ears, I can't get no. The loudest station sounded the best to you. That's, by the way, a well-known psychoacoustic fact. Louder always sounds slightly, up to a point, sounds better. So they wanted to make it appear to be as loud as possible, so they compressed it highly. Recording studios and record labels became aware of this. They started compressing heavily, and they still do. And it's kind of the legacy, the fallout of AM radio is that a lot of pop music is highly compressed. Many of these master recordings are not compressed as much. Many of them are hardly compressed at all. So you hear a great big dynamic range. Even if it's just that, that's valuable. You hear the instruments as they were meant to be heard. What you're going for, in my opinion, is the experience of being in the room. And no one can deny that being in the room with the band, with the orchestra, sitting in the middle, sounds better than a recording. So we're just trying to get those recordings as close as we can to sitting in the room with a musician. And if getting a master track for a few bucks more and getting a little extra, it's not vastly expensive, just paying attention to the hardware you get so that you can play those back. I think it's worth the effort. It is closer, to me, it's closer to sitting in the room with the musician, which is our holy grail. Now, you do have to have higher quality tracks that you're buying from these specialty stores. I think soon enough we're going to see this everywhere. iTunes will sell them. Everybody will sell them. And then, because the record labels have bought into this, they love this idea. Hey, we can sell all our music over again. You bought the Beatles collection, but did you buy it in high res? I bet you didn't. And they sell the whole thing all over again. They always want to do that. So the labels are all for this. You need to get something that can, in software, understand these newer uncompressed formats. Actually, WAV is uncompressed, and everybody plays back WAV. The problem is that the files are so big, nobody wants to distribute those. They want to use a lossless compression. Doesn't take any of the data out. It just squeezes it maybe in half, and that would be FLAC or Apple lossless. Those are the most common. So you need software that can understand Apple lossless or FLAC and play it back. Your Mac can. But you also need a digital to analog converter that can get that high bitrate file and say, oh, I understand that, and I can play it back. And the Mac can't. Most computers can't. Windows 10 will have the software capability, Microsoft has told us, but you'll have to buy a computer that also has the proper converter. I'm looking, and thanks to the chat room, on a forum called Video Help, there is information about how you could take DVD audio or high-resolution audio and burn it to a DVD and perhaps get a playable DVD audio disc. I'm not sure if this would work or not, but it looks like it's possible. So if you do have a DVD player, or burner, I should say, you might be able to burn DVD audio in a high-res format to it. We'll put the link to that Video Help forum discussion. It's fairly elaborate on the website. 8888, ask Leo. That's the phone number. Enough on that. Let's move on. David's in Durham, North Carolina. Hello, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hey.
I'm going from copper wires to something that's smidgen more advanced.
All right.
I have hearing aids, and I listen to phone calls through them with something called a Streamer Pro. And my hearing aids come from a company called Oticon, O-T-I-C-O-N. This device can Bluetooth to my phone, which is how I'm talking to you now. It can, with a button, listen to a box that's attached to my TV, which has optical in and optical out, so you still get 5.1, but I get sound. The problem is when I get in the car is a Ford Mustang 2011 with a 305 horsepower V6, the engine you were interested in back when you got your 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it does 0 to 60, and according to Road and Track 5.1, it does the quarter in 13.7 at 102. I get 32 miles per gallon, something you don't do.
Because you don't drive like that.
Well, when I drive like that, I don't, but 32 miles per gallon is my highway mileage.
That's nice.
And it does have sync, but it's really annoying to get the phone to talk to it instead of the Streamer Pro.
Interesting. So you basically, your hearing aids are Bluetooth, and the phone, it sees two different Bluetooth playback devices. It sees the Ford Sync in your car, but it also sees your Oticon hearing aid, and it's already paired to the hearing aid, so it's the first thing it pairs to.
And it's active.
Yeah. Yeah, and so what you want to do is you want to take that audio and put it in the car stereo.
And I want to do it in a less annoying way than I'm doing it now, which is you pull the menu down from the top.
Right.
You hold your finger about 2 seconds.
Yeah, you basically have to tell the Oticon disconnect so that the Ford can connect. And I don't know of any better way to do that, frankly. This is a constant problem. If you have two people with cell phones and you both get in the car, only one of you gets the car. And I don't know how to force it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You know, I do know one thing, how to make your home a smart home. The easy way, maybe you've tried before, and what you found, I'm sure, is as many of us have found, that there are, you know, kind of, and it seems like an infinite number of possible smart home protocols, and nobody talks to anybody else. That's why the folks at Smart Things did their original Kickstarter. They wanted to raise money to create a Smart Things hub. Actually, let me see if I can find that original Kickstarter, because it's kind of cool to see how far they've come. The idea was if they could make a hub that could speak to all these other devices, then you'd be able to solve this problem. It was a good idea. They asked for $250,000. They raised $1.2 million. This was back in 2012. And yes, the Smart Things hub became real. I know a lot of people who invested in the Smart Things Kickstarter project. This has really transformed smart homes. I've got one right here. I could show you. You can get it at smartthings.com/twit, and it's so clever because it doesn't just talk to SmartThings devices. And, of course, there's the SmartThings folks, people are smart, and they've made a lot of devices. Here's a power outlet. Here's a moisture sensor. These all work with the SmartThings hub, of course. Temperature and humidity sensor. This one's kind of cool. They call it the open-closed. It can tell you the temperature of any room, tell you when windows, doors, cabinets, and more open or close. It can alert you, for instance, if there's an unexpected entry. This is the motion sensor. Same thing. But they also have little dongles that your kids could put in their backpacks, presence sensors, the multi-sensor. Look at all of these. These are so great. This is cool because you can find your keys, but you can also know when the kids come home or when they don't. So the idea is these all talk to the SmartThings hub, but hub also will speak to Sonos, my music player, and Nest, the thermostat. They'll talk to the Philips Hue lights, drop cams, Logitech, Wemos, everything. So suddenly you have the basis to create an amazing smart home that works with everything. I want you to visit smartthings.com/twit. They make it simple for you because they have these home security kits and these solution kits that make it very easy to get started. I'm going to get you 10% off either the solution kit or the home security kit when you use the offer code TWIT10 at checkout. So go to smartthings.com/twit. Take a look at the security kits, the solution kits. Each contains a SmartThings hub, of course, that works with if this, then that. They have apps for your smartphone, so you can do all sorts of wild things, you know. Wherever you are, control and automate your lights. By the way, in 2015, SmartThings just announced you'll also be able to control and automate your Samsung appliances, including refrigerators, washers, dryers, air conditioners. There's even a robotic vacuum. You can actually say, oh no, the in-laws are coming, vacuum the place, and it will do it for you. Smartthings.com/twit. Use the offer code TWIT10 at checkout to save on the solution kits or the home security kits. This is the way, as far as I'm concerned, to start home automation. It just works with everything, and it makes it so easy to do. Smartthings.com/twit. This tower is getting bigger and bigger as they come out with more stuff. I don't know if I can... Oh, it's going to fall over. Chris Marquardt, get Chris Marquardt. He's here. He's here. He's back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He's back from his world travels. Our photo guy, Chris Marquardt. Hello, Chris.
Yay, I'm back here.
We missed you. You were gone a couple of weeks.
I was gone for 2 weeks, yes, to Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
That's my first time in Africa. This is quite an unusual place to start going to. I actually sent you some pictures to your email.
I have them, and I'll show people while you would talk about this. Yeah.
So it was one of the most amazing trips that I've done in my life. It was really, really cool. Ethiopia is so different from what you expect. I mean, there are all these pictures you have in your mind of like famine and desert and so on. And yes, there used to be some of that, but it's really a wonderful, colorful, and very, very diverse country with lots of green. There is desert. It's big. The people are amazing. The landscapes are amazing. The culture is so rich. I don't even know where to start because it is pretty much a photographer's paradise. You go there and the people are just so open, so friendly. I've never seen so many smiles as in Ethiopia.
Isn't that nice? They don't mind posing for pictures then?
It depends on where. I mean, as usual, you know, the country is so big, there are many different cultures. There are people, for example, in Addis Ababa or in Dire Dawa. It was super easy to take pictures of people. Most of the time it was super easy. You could just walk up to people, ask them if you could take a photo, and most of them were just really, really happy to just let you do a street portrait of them. Then there are the Afar warriors, which are very proud people, and those are a bit more difficult to crack. But we had local guides with us who helped us, who spoke the language. Ethiopia has like 80 different languages, so it's really you sometimes need a local guide to help you get around and to discuss and talk with the locals. But it's so easy. And the colors and
I have to say,
wonderful.
The color is what jumps out at me. It's a very colorful region. You're not going to use black and white film.
Mostly not.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, just really great.
Really not.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it was and then there are salt flats. You know, there's the Danakil Desert, which is pretty low. I think it's minus 300 feet or something. So it's actually the hottest inhabited place on the planet.
Wow.
So we spent a few days in the desert. We went to Erta Ale, which is a live volcano. So standing at the edge of a live volcano, looking down into a crater that has bubbling lava in it. It is an experience. It's an amazing experience, and the photography just is wonderful.
We were talking before the show. I was saying how lucky photographers nowadays are, pros anyway, because it seems to be a lot of travel associated with being a photographer, and you get to go some interesting places and see beautiful things. What kind of camera did you use for these?
I used my good old 5D Mark II mostly.
Yeah.
90% of the pictures have been taken with that.
The Canon.
It's still a wonderful
5D,
camera. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of and especially if you invested in lenses, it's just a really great choice for kind of all around. But it's heavy, it's big, it's a lot to carry around.
Well, if you go to a place like this, sometimes it's worth taking the best gear that you have. But then, on the other hand, it's also worth to limit yourself to not take all the gear, because if you take too much gear, you might end up not taking any pictures because you end up switching
all your time
lenses all the
futzing
time.
around. Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's
Exactly.
gorgeous. Is this at the volcano? These six people lined up looking down into the smoky, fiery crater. Wow.
What you see in the background are the fumes being lit from below.
We'll put a link in our show notes to Chris's website so you can see these are public, right?
These are public, yeah, everyone can see them.
ChrisMarquardt.com is his website. So any lessons learned? Anything you'd like to share with us photographically?
Well, the lessons learned is one thing you see here is I actually have all the pictures ready to show. So
we were just talking about that. You know, the days of making your friends and neighbors and loved ones sit down and watch a slideshow or a movie show of your travels are gone. Nowadays, you could put it on the web. Even better, you could share it as you go.
Yeah, but if you do the workflow that many pros do, is like the raw workflow where you put pictures into something like Lightroom and then you work on them. And I know many photographers who do something like this, a tour like this, and they bring all these pictures home, and then it takes a month or longer for them to go through the pictures, and they can't really show anything until they've finished it.
I'm the or
you,
longer,
right?
Yeah. I'm still working on pictures from a year ago.
So I took a laptop with me, and I made a point every evening to finish up the pictures of the day, to work on them, to make a selection. And it sometimes was hard because you're tired after a hard day. The other lesson learned is go when the light is good. That means most of the days we actually got up at 5 a.m. and we got out to get the sunrise, to get the good light. And it ended up being really worth it. I mean, of course, we also went to bed early, so kind of...
That's when you know you're working with a good photographer, with a pro, when they're out of bed before the sun comes up, because that's when you get pictures like that.
We had two that's actually sunrise. That's that's in the morning. Yeah. We had two non-photographers with us, or actually non-professional photographers, who in the beginning I saw them. I think I saw them rolling their eyes when we said we want to get up at 5, but then they benefited so much from it because all of a sudden they got the good light and. Really paid off.
Really nice, really nice. And I guess then there's also the magic hour, which is sunset. Is there a difference between sunrise and sunset?
The sun comes from the opposite direction.
Well, besides the where you point, yes, of course, but does the sunrise look... I mean, how would I know if these sunrise pictures are really sunset pictures?
Oh, so for some of them, you won't see the difference at all. But if you want to shoot a building and you need the face of the building in the good light in the morning, and it's not there. So you kind of have to think about where the light comes from. We planned out most of those areas where we went to and timed them so that we had the light in the right direction at the right time.
Go to Chris's website, or tfttf.com/etphotos. We'll put this at our website, techguylabs.com. And about halfway through, you could scroll through all of them. You'll see these camel silhouettes against the sunrise. Just gorgeous. Do you sell these? What do you do about the rights to these?
Oh, I'm looking into what I can do with these pictures because that is pretty much the best work that I've ever done.
Oh,
So
Chris, that's great.
I'm looking
Very
into
nice.
options and things. I am going to take photographers there. That's one of the plans for next year. We're going to make a tour, make this available to photographers who want to join.
So I think that's very good advice, which is process each night, process as you go instead of saving a pile for coming home. Bring a laptop so you can do that. I also wonder if, and I never do this, but should I take my good camera, take pictures with my good camera, but every once in a while take a picture with a smartphone that I can send back home or put on Facebook or Twitter? Yeah, because then you're sharing it with your friends and your family, and you're letting them know what's going on. And even if those aren't your best shots, they at least can kind of see what's going on.
I also shot some video with the iPhone, which was plenty good. Actually, I used hyperlapse sometimes to shoot like out of a driving car window, and everything is nicely stabilized.
Yeah,
so
I love hyperlapse. Yeah,
using the tools that are available.
Really nice stuff. TechGuyLabs.com is the place to go if you want to get the link to all of these on Chris's website. Some beautiful pictures from Ethiopia. Thank you. See, that wasn't bad. Shared them. We looked at all of them. On the radio, so you know, and really neat stuff. If people want to go next year, discoverthetopfloor.com is the website.
Well, the best place right now is tfttf.com/Ethiopia2015. There's a link where people can get some more information.
tfttf.com/Ethiopia2015. Because you're going to go back.
Yes.
All right. Hey, thank you, Chris Marquardt. Our favorite photographer. Great images from Ethiopia. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Just gorgeous. You got these backlit shots from of the camels.
Oh, the volcano was one of the most crazy things I've ever done. I mean, you stand in front of this thing, the lava is like 30 feet below you, and the heat is immense, and it's the fumes, and you're just absolutely blown away by the earth being a living and breathing organism. That's where you really see it, you know, when stuff starts bubbling right at your feet.
You know what I like? You took more pictures of people than you did of animals. People go to Africa, and usually you take the wildlife. But
people were so rewarding there.
Yeah.
So amazingly rewarding.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff.
And tourism, pretty much the places we went, virtually zero tourism.
Really?
Like we were the only one. We're not like in other places you step on each other's feet and you always have like other tourists in the background of your shots. None of that where we were. None of that at all. So that's actually one of the big selling points that we have with the tour that we want to do.
There aren't many places you can go nowadays. It's not full of tourists.
Exactly.
Nice.
And people, we went up to some tribes where people had really not much contact with strangers before, and they were very skeptical in the beginning, and then they warmed up to us, and then we had some beautiful photo sessions with them, and they invited us, and it was a wonderful experience. Really the best travel experiences in a long time. It was really good.
Neat. Really neat. Welcome back.
We'll do it again. Leo, next week we move to the Viewfinder Villa, to our new building.
That's what you're going to call it? The Viewfinder Villa.
I have a website, viewfindervilla.com.
Awesome.
We're gonna move on the weekend. I hope that the DSL will be ready when we've moved in. So I will be here 90% sure, but if I'm not here, I will be there a week after that.
Okay, that's fine. We're flexible.
All right.
Viewfinder Villa.
Viewfindervilla.com.
Stay tuned.
Not much there right now, but it's we have plans.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Chris. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye. Leo Laporte. Bong, dong, dong, bong. The tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. And we continue on with the phone calls here. Go to, let's see. I see Charlie. I feel like Miss Nancy in Romper Room. I see Charlie in Los Angeles. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing good. Quick comment. I was listening to your show yesterday, and I found it very interesting. You were talking about all these car companies like Uber and Honk. One of the main criticisms from the bigger ones is that they're cutting corners.
Yeah.
You can apply that to almost every industry now. Specifically, that's one of the main complaints a lot of space lift companies like ULA has against SpaceX.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a fine balance, isn't it, between protecting the consumer and making a living. In my opinion, it should all be about the consumer. But that's just me. I'm a consumer, so. But you do look at companies like Amazon that focus on results and consumers, and while they may not make the stock market happy, they sure do a lot of business.
Yeah, if I can save $20 here and there, I'm going to.
Yeah.
My wife has actually hinted for Christmas she wanted to get a speaker. We have a living room probably around 200 square feet-ish. A speaker that she could use for, her iPod or iPad, basically so she can play music around the home.
Right.
We currently don't have surround sound, so I was kind of thinking, would it be a possible option to kind of kill two birds with one stone? And I don't need anything crazy powerful. I was actually thinking more of like a sound bar, because we do share a common wall with our neighbors. The last thing I need is a subwoofer shaking their home and ours.
A good solution, not a cheap solution, but a good solution that will allow that's not Bluetooth, but will allow you to listen to your music on it as well as watch your TV on it, and doesn't require an AV receiver, is the Sonos systems. Now, these are not cheap, but they make a sound bar. You can add
700.
Yeah, that's just the sound bar, and then I still would add a subwoofer. Just don't turn it up very loud, and you can have surround speakers as well. The nice thing about Sonos is, while it will connect to your TV and be your surround sound speaker system, your wife can also use it for music, and Sonos is very flexible in terms of tying. If you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can play whatever you're playing on the iPhone or iPad right to the Sonos speakers. It's very flexible that way.
And it's going through the Wi-Fi connection, so range isn't nearly as big of an issue as it is with a Bluetooth connection.
It's even better than that. That uses Wi-Fi to first set itself up, but then Sonos sets up its own network. And so it's even more robust. And the reason it does that, if you've ever tried to set up a Wi-Fi music system, latency will kill you. Your speakers that are in the room with you are playing and at one time, and then a few milliseconds later the speakers in the next room, a few milliseconds after that the speakers in the next room, and it just sounds like an echo chamber. It's not a good effect. So Sonos, knowing this was a problem, created their own low latency network. It's not Wi-Fi and works quite well, but pricey as heck. So there are other solutions.
Well, I don't mind spending a little more if the quality's there and it's going to last.
It's there and the flexibility's there, and I use it and I'm crazy about it.
Yeah, instead of spending $300 every 2 to 3 years,
right,
spend $700 up front, and you have it for
and the nice thing is it's modular, so then you can add another room and another room and another room, and you can.
How's compared to the other competitors, such as Bose or Klipsch? How's the quality of the sound?
I would say it's equivalent. If you really want something. The Bose is even more expensive, by the way.
Right.
I would say it's fine. I mean, Bose would sound a little bit better. Klipsch should probably sound even better still. Those are really high-end audio things. But I think Sonos sound is excellent. And it's what we listen to most of the time when we're listening to music. The other thing that's good about Sonos is you can connect it. If you have a higher quality stereo with really good speakers, as I do, you can connect it to that too. And that becomes another Sonos output. So when I listen to music in the living room or the den, I'm actually listening not through Sonos speakers, but my own stereo.
Okay, perfect.
So, I think it's very flexible. And the thing is, it's expensive when you add it all up, but you add a little bit at a time. You slowly build out a system.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for the call. I appreciate
so
it. Yep. Gary, Buffalo, New York. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Gary. Have you dug out?
Hello.
Have you dug out of the snow?
Yes, it's all melted. In fact, we're 50 degrees today.
That is so weird.
Yeah, but tomorrow's going back, so.
Oh, well, enjoy the brief spring.
Well, I enjoy the snow. I like the snowshoe. And in fact, that's why I'm still on AT&T, because my phone works where I snowshoe. But I had a contract, 2-year contract with a Skyrocket. Went off contract a couple months ago. And I'm thinking of rooting it. and wondering, will that be any advantage? What do I have to do to get an operating system?
So rooting an Android phone is something different from jailbreaking an iPhone. And sometimes those two terms are conflated. They're very, very, very different. Android is a Unix-based operating system. Rooting it merely means you're going to be able to run it as an administrator. And Google doesn't care if you do that. And some of the phones make it very easy to do. Some companies like Samsung make it a little harder to do. But in all cases, it's safe to do, with the exception of it gives you all power. So you don't have to do anything after you root it. You can just root it and, you know, just use it, and it'll work exactly the same. However,
I'll still be stuck with the AT&T version of...
That's why people root it. So now, let's say you have files on there, you know, apps on there, AT&T put on there, you want to take them off. You can only take them off if you root. That's one reason to root. Once you root, you can uninstall anything as it is normally. If you want to update the operating system, once you get root privileges, what you'll do is you'll change the bootloader. You'll change the program that runs when the machine first turns on. And people commonly use TWRP, T-W-R-P, or Clockwork Mod. Those are two very popular bootloaders. Once you've installed those, then you can download and install other, they call them ROMs, but they're basically other operating systems to run on your phone. You have to use one that's exactly for your model of phone. You can't use one for a Samsung. You have to use one for your Skyrocket. So before I do anything, I would go to XDA forums, the XDA-developers forums, and look up your phone model exactly. If it's an international one, that's different from the AT&T one. You have to get the AT&T version of that phone and see what choices you have. They'll be listed there. Your rooting technique will also vary depending on your phone. But it's all documented very well at xdadevelopers.com.
Yeah, I've been looking around. I just wanted to check on that. But let me tell you, if I can, for a second, about my experience with AT&T's unlimited plan that I had for years. And did everything I could not to leave it, but eventually did. Here's what happened. 1 month, I went up to 3 gigabytes, and I got that nasty email, and sure enough, they throttled me. Ugh. When my phone went off plan, they offered me a 30 gigabyte a month plan for $5 less, and promised me they wouldn't throttle if I used 29 gigabytes.
And did they? And did they live up to that?
Well, I haven't gone over. I've just gotten on.
Yeah, there's a reason. Of course, you're smart. You're suspicious. There is a reason. We're out of time for this segment, but when we come back, I'll talk a little bit about what AT&T is up to. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I call it a bootloader. The commonly used term is custom recovery, but it is, in fact, a bootloader. Actually, I guess it's the thing the bootloader loads. I always think of it as a bootloader because it is what, in fact, then loads the image. I don't know technically if it's a bootloader. You're right. I'll use the term custom recovery.
How are you doing, Leo?
I'm well. I don't want lunch. My stomach still hurts.
All right. Then can I get you anything? Is your water?
I'm good. Cool. Good, John. I think maybe after the show I'll get something. Yeah, thank you. So you can get CM11 for the Skyrocket. That would be a good choice. That would be a good choice. Yeah, but think of it. It's all semantics, but the ROM image is the equivalent of the BIOS, right? Oh, I guess not. I guess it's the operating system. So the bootloader, the custom recovery. So you turn on the phone. The bootloader's like BIOS. It's the first thing that gets loaded. It then, I guess, loads the custom recovery software, which lets you choose a ROM or download and install a ROM or other stuff. You can wipe the data, wipe cache, stuff like that. So I guess that is kind of, I think of it kind of as a BIOS too, but all right, yeah. It's not the operating system. It's something dumber and simpler. It's pure semantics about, you know, what is a bootloader? What does a bootloader do? It's a computer program that loads an operating system, according to Wikipedia. The custom recovery doesn't load all the time. It's a different image that is loaded by the bootloader instead of the ROM. That's okay. So that's that. You're right. That would be the recovery software. Is another image essentially. So you have the bootloader, then you have the bootloader will choose either the recovery or the operating system. And if you choose the recovery, you want it to choose Twerp or Clockwork Mod because you want to be able to run a custom recovery that allows you to do things that the standard recovery doesn't do. So I guess that makes sense. So rooting generally involves unlocking the bootloader. Although it doesn't, I think, have to. Every Android phone has a bootloader that instructs the operating system kernel to boot normally. But since Android is an open source operating system, is available on a variety of different hardware, every manufacturer has their own version of bootloader specifically for the hardware and its environment. Right. Bootloader is locked on devices because although it's open source, all the manufacturers want you to stick to their version of OS. Well, it's just simpler for them to support. But increasingly, we've seen unlocked bootloaders or unlockable bootloaders. HTC has always allowed you to unlock the bootloader. Motorola allows you to unlock the bootloader now. Unlocking your phone's bootloader voids its warranty. It also completely wipes your Android phone's internal memory, including applications, contacts, SMS. Is that true? I don't know if that's true. Can't you put on a custom bootloader or custom recovery without wiping your phone? Thanks, Web7224. I think Chris's segment was better for those of you watching than for those of you listening, unfortunately. But I love Chris.
Well, they can visit the website and catch up on our oohs and ahs.
And IOSP wiping all data happens whenever you unlock the bootloader. Okay. That makes sense, I guess.
Oh, my God. I'm looking at more of the pictures. This is insane.
Yeah, they're great pictures.
God.
I have unlocked many a bootloader in my time, and it was always to put custom recovery and custom ROMs on, so.
Huh.
I didn't really notice, but I presume. Kind of stopped doing that. Although I have to say, I probably will do it on my Note 4. You know, for a while, Samsung's Exynos-based phones, there was no unlocker. I guess because Exynos was locked down, that people couldn't get the instructions to do it. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, home theater, smartphones, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5792. 5536. Lately, we were talking before the break about AT&T and others offering you to double the data plan. And, you know, I think what's really going on here is, first of all, these are family plans almost always. So you have a shared pool of data for more than one phone. And I think what they've realized is that nobody uses all of that much data. So it's a great competitive strategy to advertise 30 gigs of data for $5 less, because they know chances are you're probably not going to use it all. You're probably not going to use it all. So it's a pure marketing thing. It's shared data. They want to move you to a more expensive family plan. You might note that, yes, the data costs $5 less, but does your overall plan go up? Because in most cases it does. And that's where they get you. They want to get you. They want to get you in that family plan. And you're not going to use 30 gigs of data. But you are going to get more. You're going to get more. You won't use it. And you're going to pay more for the privilege, even if the data part goes down. Jason in Auburn, Maine. Hi, Jason. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Leo.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Well, not bad. Sorry, not feeling well.
Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I just, you know what? I overindulged on my birthday, and I ate way too much rich food. And, you know, I'm 1 year older, and I can't eat as much rich food as I used to eat. What can I do for you today?
Yeah, you were talking about data plans. I'm a truck driver, and I just bought the Galaxy S5 outright on Verizon, and I still have one of the unlimited data plans, and I routinely use 30 gigs a month, you know, watching Netflix. You're
unusual, yeah, because you're on the road more than most.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're weird. No, you're on the road more than most, and so it makes a lot of sense for somebody like you.
Yeah.
But anybody who's got Wi-Fi at home and Wi-Fi at work, the chances are they're not going to use a whole lot of data in between.
Yeah. So,
by the way, has Verizon ever throttled you when you use all that data?
Well, I've only been back on the road for about a month now. So far, so good. They have not.
Good.
So yeah, it's nice to have that. I mean, I don't overdo it. I try not to be, you know, wasteful with it. So I try.
I actually have to say I'm a little sympathetic to these companies, because the way mobile data works is not quite the same way data to your home works. They have to backhaul internet connections to every cell tower. And, of course, they pay for whatever that connection is, megabit and a half, 5 megabits, 10 megabits. And then, you know, everybody who's in that area is using that cell tower, is sharing that total amount of data. If you want to give high-speed data to people, and they do, because that's a big, nowadays, a big competitive issue, you're going to go to the company that gives you the best high-speed data. They're going to put a pretty fat backhaul into that cell tower. That's going to cost them money. And it is an issue for them when people sit on a cell site and just suck all the data down. Other people can't use it. So they have to monitor it and be very careful about it. And I think that the pricing reflects the facts that they've improved the backhauls. They've found ways to improve the amount of data available. And so it's less expensive to them. I'm glad to hear they're not throttling. That's a sneaky thing, to offer unlimited data. The T-Mobile has done this on some of their lower cost plans. Unlimited data, but when you get to a certain point, they just slow you down so much that you don't want to use it. Still unlimited, just slow. So what can I do for you?
Well, like I said, I'm a truck driver, and I have a logging application that I use that will take GPS data, and when I make a log entry, it'll automatically put in city and state.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it wants to see, you know, it would take something, you know, from a external GPS and put it in. Well, of course, there's no serial ports now. So I found an application where I can do GPS over Bluetooth.
Okay.
My laptop has Bluetooth, so I'm looking for something that will offer a virtual COM port to bridge the COM port to the Bluetooth, so I can use that for that application.
So the application is running on the laptop. It needs a GPS signal. Normally you use a Magellan or a Garmin standalone GPS to feed that. But, of course, who has those anymore? And the laptop doesn't have a serial port anymore. So the whole thing would be nice if you could use your phone, which does have a GPS built into it, and it could somehow communicate that GPS data back to the laptop in a form that that application would understand. Have I stated the problem?
Better than I did.
Well, I'm not sure I can help you with the next part, because my suspicion is, I don't know if there's a standard for what that data looks like. There may be.
I'm not worried about that part. I'm looking more for the Bluetooth, the virtual COM port for Windows 8.1. Looking for an app.
Certainly most laptops now have Bluetooth built in.
Yep.
Oh, I see, because the GPS software wants to see it on a COM port. Now I understand the issue.
Yeah.
So it wants that GPS data to come in through COM1, COM2, COM3, COM4. Of course, your Windows laptop doesn't have COM of any kind.
Not of recent.
Yeah, it has USB instead. And the software you're using, that's it. It will only accept data via COM port. It's pretty old, it sounds like.
Well, they really haven't done much of an update. I mean, it's good software. It's Driver's Daily Log, and it's good software. Just there's no GPS built into a laptop, so they got to do it somehow.
So I don't know if I have an answer for your specific question, but we do have somebody in the chat room who is recommending a $35 solution that might do what you want. It supports the COM port. It's a global sat GPS receiver. But it's USB. So for $35, it's got a magnet. You can put it on the roof, which is nice. GPS works better in line of sight. Once you put it on the roof and you string the USB in, it'll plug into your laptop, and then the software, the driver's software, will automatically say this is COM port.
Right.
So it'll interface using a driver on Windows 8. It'll interface to your software.
Okay.
So he says he uses these. That's, probably better than keeping your phone on all the time and all of that.
Well, it's on all the time. I run Fox 5 for a hotspot, so, I mean, my phone's on anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, I have another phone here that I do other dedicated stuff.
They also make USB to serial port adapters that might work, that make it look like it's a COM port. But I understand your question, and maybe somebody in the chat room can help out. What we want is a Bluetooth interface that appears to be a COM port.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that I'm not sure about. Bluetooth has these, kind of profiles that it uses to connect. So there's a audio profile, there's a headset profile, there's a keyboard profile, human interface device key profile, and those come in to the USB, rather to the Bluetooth driver in the laptop. What we'd need is something that would take it and instead make it look like a COM port. And I really don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything Googling around either, so I'm stuck as you were.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of stuff like this when we started to phase COM ports out. Virtual serial port drivers, things like that. Let me look around. Maybe the chat room can help us, and keep listening.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Another quick question, if you
Sure,
don't mind.
Jason, yeah.
Samsung NP880, the touchscreen died when I installed 8.1.
Oh, dear.
Any ideas for that?
The touchscreen stopped working. It might have just, I guess it could have been a coincidence. Sometimes this happens.
Okay. Very good.
Touchscreen's a hardware interface, so I don't unless there wasn't a driver for 8.1.
Okay.
Don't know. That's a kind of a high specialized thing, but you know what? There are people out there who have exactly that hardware who might know the answer. We'll check. And I do have some links coming in from the chat room. These guys are great. If you want to join us there, go to our website, techguylabs.com, and click the chat link. Otherwise, we'll be back with more of your calls in just a bit. This looks good. Wow, that's exactly what we're looking for. Choose a COM port for a Bluetooth-enabled device. Some computer port, this is from Microsoft, by the way. We'll put this link in the show notes. So, Jason, I know you're still listening. This is for Windows 7, but I wonder, a program that synchronizes contacts with a mobile phone has GPS coordinates for a GPS receiver. When you add a Bluetooth-enabled device to your computer, this often creates an incoming COM port and an outgoing COM port. This is only if the driver for the device presents itself as a COM port. Doesn't look like. Turn the device on, make a discovery. Yeah. This looks like maybe Maybe the driver has to present itself as a COM port. Yeah. Well, we'll put links to these articles in the show notes. Maybe they'll be helpful. You can use alternative Bluetooth drivers with your hardware or get a USB Bluetooth adapter to pair with a phone. Yeah, what you want is something that in software will say, oh, I'm a Bluetooth device that comes in through a COM port. But I think that would be software specific. Not sure. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. You know, it's funny. When I first started doing this in the early 90s, things were simple. Windows 3.0, DOS 5. It was easy. Somebody'd ask you, you know, how do I get my... well, we didn't have Bluetooth. We didn't have GPSs. So it's mostly like, how do I get my modem on COM1? And it was simple. You plug it into the COM1 port, should be all right. But it's gotten more complicated. Thank goodness for the chat room. We got 1,000 people, very smart people there who are very good at answering a lot of these questions. It's just, there's so much stuff now that we can hook up. And of course, we all want to do something unique and different. Yeah, I want my GPS device to hook up to my laptop, but I want to do it via Bluetooth, but I want it to appear as a COM port so that my old software will know where I am. Sure, no problem. What you need is you need the Framage there to hook up to the bit pump, and as long as you got that hooked up to the left-hand side of the Furlager, you're going to be okay. Never connected to the right side. 88.8. Anyway, I think we've maybe found a solution thanks to the chat room. We'll put it in the show notes. That's where we put the answers and where you can add your answers. TechGuyLabs.com. We don't, in fact, charge you or in any way provide any barrier to your usage of this site. You just go to techguylabs.com. You can search by show number, by day, by hour, even by question. You can watch and listen to the question and the answer after the fact. We put up audio and video, and you can read the transcription. James DeRuvo, write them down. Josh Windish, scribbling as we talk. And you can then add your own thoughts, which is always useful. So if you have an idea, if you said, oh, yeah, I know exactly what he wants to do, and I have done it, and this is how, please add that to the show notes. TechGuyLabs.com. Jason in Auburn. Oh, that was Jason. Let's move on to Naomi in Denver, Colorado. Hi, Naomi.
Hello, Leo. I'm going to cry.
Don't cry, Naomi. It's going to be okay. What happened? What happened?
I have an old Nexus 7, 2012, and I went to Lollipop.
You're not the only one crying. So Lollipop is a new version of Android 5.0. And Google's been slowly rolling that out to a variety of hardware. The Nexus hardware has always been supposedly the place to get the latest versions of Android. Now, your Nexus 7 is a first-generation Nexus 7, isn't it?
Yes, I'm one of those bleeding-edge people.
I like it. I have the 2013 Nexus 7, and let me just check for an update. Check for update. It says my system's up to date. I don't have How did you get Lollipop? Did you side load it? You didn't side load it? You just said check for update, and it said you have an update?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And it came in, and it said 5.0. It didn't say Lollipop. It said 5.0, yeah, 5.0. And you just load it.
That's good. Now, well, the reason I ask is a lot of people get impatient, and that's a big mistake. You have a Nexus device. You say, gosh darn it, I want Lollipop. And so instead of just checking to see if there's an update available or waiting until the update is pushed, they sideload it. They go to sites and they download it and they install it, and often that's a problem. Understand the way these updates are rolled out. Now, it's a little different if you have a Verizon or a T-Mobile or Sprint or an AT&T device, because then what happens is Google will create the update, send it to the phone company. They do a lot of testing and updating and stuff, and then they push it out at their leisure. So usually if you have a device that's locked to a carrier, you're not going to get the updates right away. But the promise of the Nexus devices, and that's why we buy them, the Nexus 7, the Nexus 9, the Nexus 6, is the Nexus 5. These are Google devices, and they say, we promise you'll get the update as soon as it's available. But even that's not strictly true. The way it happens is the first, when Lollipop becomes available, they send it out to 1% of all owners before anybody else. And
so they saw me in Denver and said, oh.
They said, they picked you at random, Naomi, and they sent it out, and then they wait to hear people crying. And they heard somebody cry. They heard it. So they wait till people have problems, and they go, ooh. And this is why they don't roll it out all at once. They roll it out to a small subset. And even if that goes okay, they fix whatever issues there are. The next week, it's 25%. The week after that, it's another 25. So now 51% of all owners have them in the first 3 weeks. And it isn't until the 4th or 5th week that everybody gets it. That's why I, on my Nexus 7, haven't received it yet. But unfortunately, you got it right away. And often that's going to be, maybe there's more pain associated. But you did do it the right way, which is over the air. And I do recommend that. You wait till it's pushed to you. It gives you a little notification, says you have an update. And then it's okay.
Well,
except it's
I can
not.
just be sitting on the sofa and reach for my coffee, and it drops the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's one of the many problems we've heard. I think you're probably stuck until they do push a fix, 5.01. I have heard a lot of people, especially with old Nexus 7s. How is the speed? Does it seem all right?
It's very...
Yeah, see? So here's an article on 9 to 5 Google. 2012 edition Nexus 7 running slow after installing Lollipop? Yes, this might help, it says. There's a lengthy thread on Google's product forums addressing the situation. It's particularly problematic for people who manually installed it, so that's what I don't recommend. They say, though, that clearing, and I do recommend this, clearing your tablet's cache will help, and it's certainly the first thing to do. So
yeah, I've been doing that.
You did the fancy one though. You just see if you did this. You turn off your device, you press and hold the power and volume down button at the same time. Yeah. You did this, and you saw the large arrow at the top of your screen. Naomi. Yeah, you press the volume down button until you see recovery. Now you're loading up that recovery partition. You select it. You see an Android mascot with a red triangle, and you hold down the power and press the volume up button, and then release the power down button. You press and you do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. You press the volume button down repeatedly to select erase or wipe the cache partition.
Now you know why we have forgotten everything. It's not that we knew like 19 numbers. Now we have to remember all of this stuff. And then you turn
and this is specific to one device. So you did that. You did wipe the cache partition.
Yes.
The other thing I would try is a factory reset. Have you done that?
No.
You'll erase everything, of course. You'll be starting from... But you won't erase Lollipop. A factory reset brings you back to the current version. So that is the next step. I know. And then if poor Naomi, if neither of these fixes the problem, Naomi, you're just going to have to wait till they do an update. And by the way, this is right now epidemic. Apple's iOS 8, people are having similar problems with Wi-Fi dropping out and weird results. And so I think it's not unusual for this to happen, and I'm sorry it's happened to you. All I can say, Naomi, is you're not alone in your suffering, my dear. Thank you for the call. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I love you, Naomi. You keep it fun. Unfortunately, not really a fix. You've done the big fix. Now I guess the next one is to try just resetting the whole thing back to factory, and you'll stay with if you do that, you'll stay with Lollipop. I know it doesn't get rid of Lollipop, but it does bring you back to the original. Hey, can I share my shoes with you? Oh, you love this. This is your favorite portion of the show. You want to sniff my shoes?
I sure do.
These are, I've never worn them, folks. Don't worry. These are Jack Irwin shoes. And Jack Irwin makes shoes that are just gorgeous. And they cost about a third to a quarter of what they'd cost if you went to a fine shoe shop. Because these are really good shoes. Leather, made by artisans. Come over this side. Crafted by artisans in Italy and France. Best place for shoe leather, and then assembled by cobblers in Spain.
Can I touch it?
You can touch it. You can touch it. Oh, doesn't that feel good? Yeah. Hand sewn uppers.
Really is
Isn't that gorgeous? Every Jack Irwin shoe is made with love. The box comes with a special shoe bag for travel, plus some extra insoles, so you can freshen her up after a while. These are heirlooms. I don't think you're going to have these for a long time. When shoes are well made, they last a lot longer, and they polish up well, and they look great. And you know what? The nice thing about the good leather like this, it looks better and better and better as it ages. Aren't those? So those are the wingtips.
Fabulous.
Well, I'm definitely keeping these. I know what women want. You want the boots.
Yes.
Because this shows a guy who's committed to his shoeage. This is a guy who is going to lace all the way up, and he's even going to do the hooks. That is a shoe. That is a substantial shoe indicating a substantial guy. Let me tell you, the ladies will tell you this. I know, because all of the women I know tell me this. The shoe, we look at the shoes. The shoes make the man, but it's true in business too. If you don't have, yeah. And by the way, you can buy cheaper shoes. They don't last. It's a false economy. If you get good shoes, they last a really long time. And Jack Irwin's the place to go. JackErwin.com/twit. JackErwin.com/twit. You can see my shoe selection. Now, if you see a pair of shoes you love, they smell good, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you love them?
I do.
If you see a pair of shoes you love, snap them up, because they're always changing the selection at Jack Irwin, because these are handmade, so they don't make thousands of them. A quarter to a third of the price you get it if you went to the fancy stores. They cut out the retailers and they save by selling directly to you, shipping them to your door. One other point: the sizes are large. They are about one full size big. They cut them big. They don't stint on the leather. So subtract a full size from your shoe size when you order. Don't worry. Shipping is free and returns are free, so it's easy if you find the shoe doesn't fit. Look at that. Now, this is a wingtip combat boot. That's what I was showing you. This is in black. Gosh, these are nice. And at $220, that's a lot of leather. That is, I think these are my chocolate full grain. Yeah. Oh, baby. So you think that's what a guy should wear? To a date, you'd be impressed?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
More than the loafers.
Yes.
See, I'll wear the loafers at home. Jack Irwin, because I love them. They're so comfy. And really good leather shoes. They shape to your foot. They conform to your foot. You wear them a few times, and they feel like butter. JackIrwin.com/twit. We love them. You will, too. You know, I cannot hear that song anymore without thinking of the new CPR. So Staying Alive is a song, right? And the new CPR is, and I don't, you probably should consult your Red Cross professional or look it up online before you do this. But apparently they want you to do chest compressions. That's the new CPR. They say that's the way to go. Please learn CPR. It'll save the life of somebody you love, and it's a great thing. But one of the things they teach you when they're doing the chest compressions is in your head, you sing that song, because that's the rhythm. Whether you're a lover or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive. It's faster than you think. Da, 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 da. So I'm just telling you what the Red Cross told me. That's why I cannot listen to this song and not think about saving a life. 8888, ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back to the phones we go. Darren is in Long Beach, our next caller. Hello, Darren.
Hey, Leo. Listen, you're exactly right about the CPR. My wife and I just got CPR certified for our 6-month-old daughter, and it's staying alive. That's what they teach you.
Darren, thank you for confirming that. People thought I was crazy. And thank you for learning that. You're right. When you have a kid, you want to know how to do the Heimlich. You want to know how to do CPR. You want to be able to be there when your kid needs you.
Well, I figure she's going to need a lot of Legos and toys, so we'll see what happens.
You're absolutely right. So that's good to know. And that was that through the Heart Association or the Red Cross? Who did you learn that?
No, we signed up at my wife signed us up at a Babies R Us.
Oh, what a great idea.
Was there. Yeah.
And they teach you the compressions. Staying alive, staying alive.
Yeah, they do, and you're right. It's all compressions now. Very little breathing, if at all. And because it's more about getting the blood through the system than getting a breath in the lungs.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
But,
they're always
glad you're
changing this
advertising that.
stuff.
That's great.
Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
I got a question for you. I feel like I'm watching vinyl die all over again with the death of the plasma TV.
Yeah.
I'm a cinematographer, and I still have one of the first series of Panasonic plasmas, and it still looks better than most of the LED TVs I can find in the store.
I am with you 100%.
On set, we use a lot of the brand new OLEDs that are beautiful but incredibly expensive. I mean, some of the sets we use are $25,000, $50,000 for reference monitors. But at home, I'm not going to spend that. Even if I made it, I don't think I'd spend that on TV. So it seems to me like Panasonic already stopped making plasmas, 2 years ago?
Yeah, and they made the best. The Vieras were considered the best TV out there for many years.
I'll tell you what, Leo, if you still want to get one, you can get them on. I just looked on Amazon.com. The $2,000 and $3,000 VT and ZT, their best sets, are now $5,000 and $6,000 because they stopped making them.
Yeah.
There's very few left.
I have a VT, and I love it so much. And it's you're right, nothing looks as good. But people didn't buy them. People bought the LCD TV sets, and all the companies that make plasma have stopped. I think probably partly because it was only a couple of factories that were making plasma screens, and once they stopped making them, nobody's going to make them. So
Samsung stopped last year, Panasonic 2 years ago, and then I think I just read on Consumer Reports that LG
they're the last
making them 2014 and maybe next year. So I've got a question for you. I want to buy our plasma is about 7 or 8 years old now. Normally, I would buy a VT or ZT Panasonic because I think they look fantastic.
Even at that inflated price. Yeah.
No, not now. I mean, when they were in production, I got friends to buy them. I went to their houses and calibrated their TVs for them for movie watching, everything. But now that they're going out of production, I'm down to the Samsung. I'm not paying $5,000 or $6,000 for the Panasonic. It's just not worth it. I'm down to the Samsungs from last year and the LGs that are still being made. But here's my question for you. I agree with you that you do not need to, I think this is what you say, you do not need to buy the extended warranty for most big budget electronic items.
No.
Okay. If I buy...
I should qualify that. The reason I don't is that's insurance. And insurance is always priced at a point where the company that sells you the insurance makes money statistically over the long haul. Now, I have life insurance. I'm not going to take that chance. But if you buy a lot of consumer electronics, in the long run, it's cheaper to self-insure. And occasionally you're going to get bit. And I don't want anybody to call up and say, well, Leo, I didn't buy it because of you, and my Panasonic died, and now I have to buy a new one. The other problem is, even if it does die, my suspicion is with the extended warranties, you're not going to get a fixed TV. They're going to give you an LCD TV because they don't make them.
So with the plasmas that they're still making, do you think it's worth it to buy the extended warranty because they're not going to make them after next year?
Yeah, and the question is, are they going to fix them, or are they just going to replace them with an LCD?
Well, there's that. They have to make enough parts to replace, or not. They don't have to make enough parts to replace, but I think they have to manufacture enough parts to at least repair a certain number of items sold. But past that, they're probably just, like you said, going to give me, an LED or...
They're going to say, hey, be happy. We can't give you a new plasma screen, but good news, you're getting a brand new TV set.
They're going to give me a roll of film and a projector and say, congratulations.
So by the way, I am just like you. I feel like it's a shame. I don't think the LCDs are as good. I don't buy LCDs except for the guest room. Let the guests suffer. And frankly, they're fine. But I just love. I've gotten used to, and I love it. I did replace in my den. I did buy an OLED, and as you have observed on the set, they look good. And I think for the video file, that's going to be the replacement for plasma. But the prices have still not come down. They've come down a lot. LG and Samsung both sell, I think, $8,000 OLEDs. I expect in the next couple of years you'll see OLEDs come down to a little bit more affordable. They'll still be a premium product.
I really hope they do. Those are the only sets I've seen where the blacks are equal to the plasma.
They're stunning. Yeah.
And then the one thing that I think plasma, even if they stop making them, will still have on even the OLEDs, is just the organic look of the image. I don't know.
It's
what
more
they do with the
cinematic. No,
screen.
I agree with you. It's more cinematic. Yeah.
It takes that subtle edge off the resolution, and it looks beautiful from 4 feet or 14 feet.
Some of that is that many of the LCDs you're seeing, certainly in the showroom, are using the high frame rate, 120 hertz frame rates.
Oh, yeah.
And those really don't look good because they're interpolating the frames and they're plasticky looking. They look a little weird. And that's what you're seeing. And they're definitely not cinematic. So you're right that for the best. Now, do you work on feature films, Darren?
Feature films, television commercials, music videos, TV series.
So for playback, they're using OLEDs?
It'll depend on the production and really what they can afford, but generally in the editor's office, you're looking at OLEDs.
Interesting.
That's kind of a standard reference. When you're editing and color grading,
yeah,
those are some of the final steps before the public sees something. Right. You're looking at the best monitors you can. And, of course, I always get a kick out of that because then they're kicking it to cable, and it's coming in 60i to our televisions and reprocessed. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the person at home's not seeing what you're seeing, but you want to give them the best start. So what our friend Scott Wilkinson, who's our home theater geek and joins us every Saturday, and I'm sure you're familiar with his work. He's really great. What he's saying is that the newest LCD FALD TVs, F-A-L-D TVs, that those are local dimming LEDs. They have they have lit fully, and their local dimming are starting to get black levels comparable to plasma. That they're starting to look pretty darn good. I think as an interim, that might not be a bad way to go. And eventually, next year or the year after, OLED is the way to go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Fun to talk to you. I appreciate talking to somebody in the film business, Darren. What do you do?
I'm a DP, director of photography, so I run the camera and lighting crews.
So you pay a lot of attention to what it looks like.
Yeah, basically the director and I work on the look of everything and what the camera does and what the lighting's doing. And
do you on features? Are you still shooting with video taps? Sometimes.
Well, when you say video tap, that reminds me of when we were still shooting film, and it was a big deal to have a video tap.
I remember the first video taps were invented by Jerry Lewis, of all people. Really? But the idea was that you could see playback in real time, but it was on video, so it was like a little tap into the film. But you still do playback on set?
Oh yes. Oh, yeah. Sometimes, especially if you're in the studio, sometimes the image, the data is actually going through the camera and through cables to a data bank, not even being recorded on the camera.
Yeah.
You can record on the camera as well, but everything can be played back almost instantaneously.
Yeah. And you watch, and is the director watching live on a display?
You know what? It really depends on the director. Some directors will trust that if they see the shot before they call action, they know.
They trust the DP to get it.
Right, and they'll stand there and actually, I do like working with the directors who'll stand next to the camera, but they're looking at the actors.
Right.
And they know what the framing and the shot of the frame.
They're watching the performance more than the...
Exactly. Yeah. And then there are other directors who will sit, and sometimes it depends on the production, but sometimes the director and I are both sitting in chairs looking at a bank of monitors from all the cameras. Right. That's it.
Yeah, we went on the set of the showrunner of Dexter was a fan, and we went on the set of Dexter, and I was very interested in how they worked. And yeah, the DP was behind the set. The director was there. Yeah, they had a good DP. I'm trying to remember who it was, but yeah, it's so interesting to watch this. But it sounds like, and when you're saying OLEDs, these are the smaller OLEDs designed for this particular use, I think.
Yes, yes.
They're not the big. They're not 55-inch display in the middle of the set. They're littler. They're 20 inches.
No, that's where you'll find it in the editing room.
Right.
You have to, even on a big production, you have to. They kind of balance what you're looking at versus how mobile it is and how quickly it can be set up. So if guys were lugging around, 80-pound, 50-inch TVs everywhere, that's probably more. You don't want that setup.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. Hey, nice to talk to you. I appreciate it, Darren.
Hey, you too. And listen, for your stomach, if it's still bothering you, a tablespoon, I'm from the South and we do things at home. A tablespoon of apple cider vinegar will cure a hangover, upset stomach, acid indigestion, whatever. So go that route, okay?
It's really, like my big fat Greek wedding. They sprayed everything with Windex.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Hey, thank you, Darren. Really good to talk to you. Thank you.
Hey, you too. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Love hearing from people working in the business because, of course, they, first of all, generally budgets are unlimited there. An editor's going to get what an editor wants. So I like to hear what they say. Yeah, the story, and I don't know if it's true, but the story was that Jerry Lewis invented the video tap or video assist for, what was the movie? It was, he has a patent. It was for that movie, a weird movie where they were in was it a women's dorm or something? And it's a wild movie. They built the set complete, but with open, it was just the weirdest thing. Let's see if I can find that source. I think it was in his biography. And you know what? He may have been inflating a little. It actually predates his patent, it says. Nathan Staten, our musical director, does a great job pulling the hits, playing the tunes that I then talk all over. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, Bob in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Hey, Bob. Bob? Did I press the button? No, I didn't. Hey, Bob.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
You're taking the call. I'm sure that other people have this issue. It's called Silverlight. With Netflix.
You know what? Netflix is replacing Silverlight everywhere and will be HTML5 soon.
But when?
Soon.
Yeah, you call them and that's
soon. Microsoft Silverlight is like Flash. It's a video playback codec or technology plug-in, actually is probably the right word, that lets a browser or a device like a Roku playback video. And for years and years, Netflix has used Microsoft's Silverlight.
I know.
But Microsoft gave up on Silverlight a while ago. So it really is the case that Netflix has to move on. What device are you using for your playback?
A desktop with
Windows?
Mozilla browser.
And so it won't install on Mozilla, or what's the problem?
Oh, yeah, it installs, but it's constantly crashing. I mean, I keep my browser updated. I keep good old Silverlight supposedly updated. And at random, there is absolutely no pattern, totally at random. Silverlight just goes away.
I do. So you've called Netflix and they've said, oh, yeah, we're going into HTML5, huh?
They've said they're going to change from Silverlight, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at a story from June that says, well, we're replacing Silverlight.
My calendar shows mid-November, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing it. They've been beating that drum. Here's an article from June from VentureBeat. Netflix is slowly killing off, slowly being the operative word, killing off Silverlight and replacing it with HTML5. So on a Mac, that has happened. Because, Apple there's no love lost for Microsoft Silverlight on a Mac.
Right.
But for Windows, let's see. Okay, Internet Explorer 11 on Windows 8.1 is now using HTML5. You're not using a...
No, I don't use Explorer at all.
Well, this might be the one time.
No.
No, won't do it.
No, I will fight with...
Won't do it. What version of Windows are you using?
I'm using XP Pro.
Okay. Yeah, you wouldn't want to... You can't go to 11, IE 11 on XP Pro anyway. So you can only go up to 8. Another reason to get rid of XP at some point. Yeah, that's an interesting issue. I mean, even if Netflix does replace it with HTML5, I don't know when they're going to support Firefox. Let's see. Netflix, yeah, they still haven't done it. So
I know.
I know. I mean, I think some of this is because you're still using XP. I think really that if you are listening at home and you are having problems with Silverlight, the answer is to use IE 11, but you have to have an up-to-date version of Windows to do that.
Yeah.
How about Chrome? Have you tried Chrome?
Yeah, and I didn't like Chrome at all.
Okay. So I don't really have a fix for you because while Netflix says, yes, we're moving, and they have moved, if you're using Safari on OS X, it's using HTML5. They're replacing it bit by bit. But I would be shocked if they support it on XP. And if they do, it will be one of the last platforms they'll support it on. Firefox on XP, that is pretty much a recipe for doom. I'm sorry. That's the only answer I can give you. If you can go to a more modern version of Windows and use IE 11, if you could go to, I have to try Chrome on XP and see, but I think Chrome would be better. And it's a shame. Microsoft has even deprecated Silverlight. They've stopped using it. Or they still offer it, but they don't want to use it anymore either. So it's not going to be well supported. It's a recipe for disaster. Get a Roku. Get a Roku. Put it on your big screen. That's all I can say. If you can't change, you don't want to change, I don't know what answer there is for you. Thanks for the call. Sorry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Steve is in San Diego. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Got this little situation here. I just purchased a higher-end Sony Bluetooth headphone.
Yeah.
And I guess it's Bluetooth 3.0. Okay, fine. I have a iPod Classic with like 160 gigs, but I want to be able to
hold on to that because
my music.
They stopped making those, and those are becoming very valuable. I have a Classic too. Yeah. So yeah, you can buy Bluetooth transmitters that plug into the audio port.
Are there any ones better than others?
Well, there are, but not because the quality is better. You want to make sure that whatever you buy supports A2DP. That's the high quality stereo that your headphones support. You want to make sure that dongle will support it. Right. But my experience is quality and the way they're built varies dramatically. It's a 30-pin port, so you could even buy one that plugs into the port, and then we'll take the digital data from the iPod and send it over Bluetooth. That's probably going to give you a better result.
Right.
So monoprice.com is going to give you the best price. Those are usually pretty good. I've tried a number of them. They work fine. I've used some of them in the docks. You know, remember Apple used to make 30-pin docks. I've actually plugged Bluetooth receivers into those docks, and those work too. So yes, there are solutions. 30-pin is probably going to be better than audio port. Prices are very affordable. $20, $30 are not expensive.
Okay.
And as for brand, I don't have a brand to recommend. They're all made by, they're 4 Chinese companies that make these. And then people slap a brand on it.
3.0 versus 2.0 shouldn't make a difference for the headphone.
They'll all be 3.0. The current Bluetooth is 4.0.
Okay.
So 3 is easy.
Very good.
Shouldn't be a problem. Hey, enjoy.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you for calling. Thank you all for listening. The Thanksgiving weekend edition, the Black Friday edition of The Tech Guy. I want to thank our musical director, Nathan Staten, for keeping the tunes rolling, Heather Hammond, our phone ranger for keeping the calls coming in. A reminder that everything we talk about, links and all, are at the website. Thanks to James DeRuvo. Nice job, James. If you go to techguylabs.com, you'll find it. We've broken it down by day, by show, by hour, even by question. A couple of hours after the show's done, Josh Windish, sitting right behind me right now, will put the audio from and video from YouTube up on the website so you can actually see the portion of the, if you want to see your call or get reminded what Leo talked about, it'll all be there, including text that you can read. And if you do me a favor, there's also a section for your comments. Many of the calls today could benefit from your input. If you have experience, if you've got a better answer, if you've got a correction or qualification, that's the place to do it. And here's the nice part. It's free. There's no subscription. You don't have to pay. We don't want your email address. We're not going to ask for it. We don't collect any information about you. It's like the old-fashioned days. Remember when the web, you'd go to a website and you just read stuff and then leave? That's it. It's very, very simple. That's thanks to our great sponsors who mean we don't have to charge you. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Have a great Geek Week. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.